You people bought a ticket to see me, so shut up.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no control.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you live under a rock,
I might
you
grab
are
at that,
looking
I
at
don't
the
know, my
youngest
rap, my
and
blood
fastest
boils
rising
over like,
star in
oh God, here
professional
goes. I
wrestling
lost all
today.
feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll play it on your face just to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you gon' wish you had such a fuck up real bad.
Shut up.
Welcome everyone to the Heel of the Ring podcast. I am BX4 Jedi Kev. With me tonight, joining us, the one and only Alex Coquito, and of course, my co-host Heel. Salute, gentlemen. How are you guys?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today? Que la que. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hands up, you're first.
You know what this means. When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut. And what are you doing the intro, Kev, huh? This is my show. My show.
Remember, I'm the Vince McMahon. I'm the Vince McMahon of the Jedi Network.
I don't care. I'm the one that makes your show popular. I don't care about those monkeys in the back or whatever. I'm the one that makes your show possible, okay?
AG, salute. First in the building. AG in the building. Salute, salute. Gentlemen, a lot of things happen in the world of professional sports entertainment, of wrestling, because we can't call it wrestlers, they got to be sports entertainers, as
Superstars.
we heard the Miz correct Cody Rhodes on Monday Night Raw. But let's start with the I want to say the most live, thunderous, exciting Wednesday night program crowd in happened in Louisiana, and AEW last night Rampage was actually Dynamite, excuse me, was phenomenally over. Especially that opening bout with CM Punk and Petra Okura. Alex, what's your thoughts on that opening contest?
Okay, I'm gonna go off little by little bit because I used to be on another podcast, but I'm still in the mindset of that. Key. Now, first off, in the first 3 minutes of the match, you got a chop fest by Penta Oscuro and CM Punk. And this wasn't a little 5-second chop. They were going for at least 30 seconds hard. By the way, shout out to New Orleans. They've been scheduled to go to New Orleans for the last 2 years. And finally they got there. And you can hear the 2-year wait from the crowd. The botch by Punk was noticeable, but he picked it up real quick. He feigned the knee and he played it out to the end. In the match was a little spotty because you can see these guys have never really worked with each other, so they're kind of like, Penta Oscuro's all Latino and he can call moves, but he's really more whistle based. Wrestlers like that, they do little certain sounds that they know where to go. Punk's not like that, so I get that. But to see Penta get the shine he deserves, 1, awesome. To see Punk on the rise to the belt, awesome. And 3, just to get the opening and see people and the crowd made it a wondrous match. That's my thoughts on it, sir.
Yeah, Heel, you want to elaborate on that or?
So, I think it's fair to say this run by CM Punk has been, at the very least, mixed feelings.
Yes.
And I'm glad to see that there's actually and granted they have the Luchasaurus as you see at the bottom there and all that, but that's sort of what's missing a little bit. It's like the future of you start to wonder what is the future for luchadors in wrestling.
Mhm.
You know, because there's not a lot of those around, especially in America. Obviously, you got, you know, Triple A over there in Mexico and all that, but we need some lucha flavor in wrestling over here in America, because, like, you know, a lot of kids, especially when they grow up, they see those wrestlers, and that's the first wrestlers most likely they end up idolizing. You know, I mean, who wasn't little and thought that Rey Mysterio and all them was like the best in the world and all that? And I think with Escudo and all that, you know, that's great. If they get some luchadors over there in AEW, that's going to create a lot of buzz, because that's one thing in wrestling that's really missing right now. Like,
Buzz.
yeah, like I get it. There's Callisto and all that, but they're not really being pushed into WWE. So there's one thing that AEW can take advantage of. It's a lucha libre market, at least here in America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I liked the opening before before the chops. You had them putting over the crowd. You had, Cero Miedo. You also had CM Punk chants. The crowd was wow. It looked like a pay-per-view crowd, back and forth, like you said. The city of New Orleans, Louisiana, was hungry. They were hungry for getting sports entertainment in their building, in their city, and it showed. And what a opening bout. I think CM Punk did injure his knee. By the way, that was it was a botch move, but he did injured. He sold it. He was able to do his finishing move with a botch move. And I thought, when I saw that fight going, I go, Petro Oscuro doesn't speak much, like you said. He whistles, doesn't speak fluent English, and also the referee doesn't know Spanish. So it's like, man, how are they going to bring this home, especially with an injury? I thought they were going to have like a ridiculous no contest, something weird, because Tony Khan likes turning off lights, as we'll see later on in the program. And other than that, what a way to start the card. It got everyone pumped. I was excited. And I'll be totally transparent. I'm more of a WWE fanatic, and I do watch the AEW. I respect it. I watch it because it's on, and I like wrestling in general. So, but I just wanted to be transparent with that. And then what we go to the next card, the tag team Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus. They had Christian Cage. They went up against the Red Dragon. Another fine tag team. Now, what I want to ask is, where are they going to go with this? Because it kind of feels like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, they are the world tag team champions, but they feel like they're like the fourth or fifth tag team in AEW. What you think? Do you agree with me, Alex, or you think I'm seeing from, or just, I don't know, reaching here?
No, you're not reaching. Like, the original plan for Jungle, like for Luchasaurus, not Luchasaurus, for Jurassic Express was like Lucha Brothers was supposed to keep the belt until Proud and Powerful was supposed to take it away. That was the intended plan that was supposed to be in the ether. Obviously, Rey Fenix broke his arm, and you have to switch up plans. Okay, you make up a new draft. Let's give it to Jurassic Express. Jack Perry's hungry. Jack Perry's got the look. He's got the notoriety. Luchasaurus is technically a lucha dinosaur. All right, fine. Let's work with that. You lost Marco Stunt. You go on as a tag team. Great. But you're right. They're not the number one tag team right now. It doesn't help you when you're the champion. When you have the Young Bucks, FTR, Gun Club, Blackpool Combat Club all vying for the number one spot without a belt. So therefore, you're just, oh, hey guys, we're like the champions. Oh, to hell with you. I don't give a crap about you. Well, let's talk about, that's bad for them. But I think the people that are going to take it away from them are the Knights of the Black Throne, are Malachi, Brody King, Buddy Murphy. If you remember, the second they won the belts, there was two opposing teams. There was Jericho on one corner, and then there was Malachi Black and his group on another side of the ring. And they were both looking at Jurassic Express. So now that Jericho's with Eddie Kingston doing the on-site stuff, take it off them. Give it to the Knights of the Black Throne. That's a heel team that can benefit. Get some baby faces up there, throw some to the wall, see what sticks, see what happens. But that's my thoughts. But that was a great match, though, by the way. The Bobby Fish did a freaking avalanche Falcon Arrow over Luchasaurus, who was getting choked out by Kyle O'Reilly. Holy crap. And I love Excalibur. I don't give a crap what anyone says. I love Excalibur because he's the one that coined the phrase. He hit the Falcon Arrow. He sealed the deal. So when you say that, you're done. So I was like, No, he didn't seal it. But again, great match. Jurassic Express lose the belts. Give it to somebody else. Honestly, that's just my opinion.
All right. Okay.
When-
Heel, you.
When,
Go
when it
ahead.
comes to the best tag team in AEW, let's be real, tag titles or not, it's always going to be the Young Bucks. That's just how it is in AEW. They've earned it. I mean, rather or not you. I mean, you can critique them all they want. I myself, I'm not that big of a Young Bucks fan,
Nor
but
am
I
I.
still
much.
respect them. But I still
Yeah.
respect them for what they do and what they are. But as for Jungle Boy, I think the ceiling for him is really, really high. And I
Mhm.
wish they would do more with him. But again, I can go on about how AEW does nothing but good matches. But again,
Not all the time.
they need to focus more on gimmicks. Sometimes the Jungle Boy has a good gimmick. And they can do so much more with that gimmick, I feel like, than just like, hey, let's see what he does in the ring. And I'll be honest with you, Red Dragon was in this match too, right?
Yes.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. The thing about Red Dragon that I noticed throughout the years is, unlike other tag teams, they just don't have that thing that makes you go, "Wow, that's different." That's what makes me want to watch Red Dragon. Like, yeah, when they first got hot, it's like it was cool. They were cool for like, a cup of coffee or whatever. But they're missing that extra spice to their tag team, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you-
Luchasaurus, they're just like the hot thing right now. That's how I honestly feel right now about them. But
Do
Red
you-
Dragon is the main guy right now.
Let me ask both of you guys. Do you think Red Dragon? Do they need like a mouthpiece? Someone that could cut some promos, like really spice up, work the crowd. Like, God, I can't stand the Red Dragons because we know that they could wrestle. They're one of the. I think one. I kind of think they're a really good tag team. They fight well. They moves. It's just like you said. They missing that mouthpiece, that pizzazz that separates them. And like you're either gonna love them or you're really gonna hate them in a promo. They're like, damn, because one thing about the New Day, they won us over with that. At the beginning, that power of positivity. Come on, it's like,
Yeah.
But then it got catchy with the pancakes, and it got over. Do you think, and I'm not saying they need to go on a total baby face, but they maybe need like to go on a heel with a mouthpiece, just a person or a valet that's just gonna like, damn, you know what? I can't stand. I really, they really get under my skin.
Mark Sterling. There you go. Jade's manager.
Yeah.
No one likes him.
There you go. And because you're really either gonna go get over you're really gonna get like, oh my god, And I was listening earlier to a podcast, when I was talking about when Austin with the coin phrase Austin 316. In the beginning, everyone hated that when Austin just came out and said, because it was he crossed the line in that Attitude Era. We're going into a biblical where you don't talk about, and he said Austin 316 just whipped your eye, and everybody he was so healed that it got him over. Maybe that's what these guys Red Dragon need. They get so healed with a mouthpiece that'll just get them over. Maybe going forward with that. My opinion on them.
That if you go down that route for the heel route, then you go with Sanjay Dutt.
I think when they need is actually a slight gimmick change, and the reason why I say that is because sometimes it's just like, because like right now, okay, Red Dragon, to me right now, what I see is just a couple guys that are really good in ring but really have no character. And sometimes that's the biggest thing that you're missing. Like even and I know AEW fans right now, when they hear the special, they're like, really, you brought up the E again? But I'll be honest with you, even though WWE is pushing Omos, he doesn't really have a gimmick, and that worries me. Yes, the MVP thing helps, but you can kind of compare it to this right now.
Yes.
It's like, yes, Red Dragon's kind of getting like a push in AEW, and yes, they're good in the ring, they're good for what they do, but them not really having a gimmick is what worries me. Like, even if it's like a little gimmick, like, kind of like having like a nice attractive valet or something like with them, and they're just like these cocky little bastards, kind of like John Morrison and who's the other
Melina.
guy? Fuck, who is it again? John Morrison.
Valkyrie?
Huh?
Taya Valkyrie?
No. Who's John Morrison's tag partner in the
Miz?
No, the other one.
Oh,
The original when it went with Melina, when they had Melina. Yeah.
Why is his name
It's escaping my name too. I know.
It's not.
You know, they had Melina's theme song, and you know who I'm talking. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know exactly. I got the face right here in my face. He's screaming the name in my face, but I'm deaf. I can't hear exactly what he's saying. So yes. Okay.
Johnny Morrison. No,
the other guy.
Johnny
Nitro. M2M.
Johnny Nitro. Johnny Nitro.
No, that's him. That's just Johnny Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo,
Joe Mercury.
Mercury. I knew it started with an M.
Yeah.
But in the words of The Rock, it doesn't matter what his name.
Yeah, I feel bad for Mercury.
Yeah, even something like that is what could help them. Like even like a cocky little gimmick like that. I think that could be
Kyle tried last week where he's like, "Oh, I had a little bit too much champagne, so I'm just sitting on the floor." Like I was like, I understand what they're doing. They just tell Tony Khan like, "Can we just try something?" And Tony like, "Yeah, sure." As long as it's not offensive.
Or how about a 21 Jump Street gimmick where like as soon as they pin someone, you're there, it's like we just beat you or something like that.
Yes, actually, because yeah. I've always liked Red Dragon as an ROH team, a tag team. Their credentials are flawless, but again, as Mr. Heel has said, there's no gimmick behind it to stamp them. And the Gun Club are now starting to get a gimmick because they're called the Ass Boys. Only for the fact that they're heels and they hate that, and the dad loves that. I like watching it. That's the only reason I watch the Gun Club. They're not really a great tag team, but they got the gimmick first, and they're gonna do the sets later, which is fine. That's fine.
And they got a good mouthpiece in Billy Gunn. You know,
yes.
They
he's a great visual person because again, when people are chanting the ass, man, they're like, yeah, and then the son's like, shut up. You know, that's gimmicks. Even Chaos Project, who I hate, they are the worst tag team ever. Great gimmick though. Great gimmick. Luther uses Serpentico as a weapon. Something new, something different.
I'm gonna give you a better example. I know deep down I should remember this name whatsoever. Granted, he was great when he didn't have this gimmick, or at least even in Japan. So if I remember correctly, he did wrestle in Japan. But I know deep down I should remember this gimmick whatsoever. But the whole Kung Fu Naki, gotta believe he wasn't born Milwaukee. Kung Fu Naki, Kung Fu Naki, Gotta believe he wasn't born Milwaukee.
Oh, okay, I heard that one.
Oh, wow, he got me there too.
Like I know I should remember that gimmick, but I do just because of how good the character was. And
sometimes the gimmicks last longer than the wrestler itself, which is great and sad at the same time. That's how it is.
And Heel for I think the second time or third time in a row for that gimmick.
Not
you know
for
what you just made?
You know what? You just made the list. Oh no! Oh, here we go.
Alex, we do these little cuts, within promo. We're just joking around with this with the.
It's perfect. I love it.
And just, I know you're joining us for the first time. Second time with me on the Watch One, but first time with us on the podcast. We do like these little gimmicks.
Of course.
Yeah. So when we're talking about back to the tag team in AEW, don't forget though. Looks like they're gonna get a big bump. It's gonna be Bryan Danielson, former known by and Johnny Moxley. They look like they're gonna form a tag team and now jump into that tag team pool because the AEW's got a lot of good tag team. They even got Keith Lee with Swerve. We'll talk about that later. And there's a lot of tag teams. So the tag team division in AEW is really a lot of competition. It's actually, if you ask me, they have more competition and they could create more storyline than WWE right now.
They could. They have the ROH tag team now. With that, they can bring that in together. I think the Blackpool Combat Club are going to debut as a trios on Friday, which is good because now they're making a trios division secretly in a sense because we got the Gun Club, we have Pretty Peter Avalon with Nemeth and Benoni, and now we have Knights of the Black Throne and now the Blackpool Comic Club. That's already 5. That's already 4 to 5. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
On top of the 18 tag teams. Yes, 18 tag teams that we have in AEW, not counting jobber tag teams that come out of nowhere. That's like 25 if you add those too. Just, I love it, but they gotta make another belt. They gotta make another belt soon, or integrate the ROH tag team titles. Like, hey, you gotta like bring it over here and compete for it, because this.
Dare we say do they bring back the 6-man tag belt? Remember, and the NWA back in years ago, there was a 6-man tag belt.
They could. I mean, it'd be entertaining, and they can do that on Fridays just to like really spice up the crowd. Like, oh, every week you got to defend the belt. So it'll be like a never open weight in Japan. Like, no matter what, every time there's a pay-per-view or TV, you have to defend it no matter what. So yeah, I would love that.
Or also back in the WCW NWA early days in the 90s, they had a TV tag title along with the TV champion, which is called the TNT champion now, and also the TV tag titles. They used to implement that in WCW when they were under Jim Crockett before sold over to Turner. Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting. Absolutely, that was pretty good. We'll move on to the next bout on the card.
I just gotta say, every time someone tells me Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, my first thought is the Miz was right about you. That's the first thing I think about.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we move on. We go to let's see, what's the next fight here? The women's bout: Marie Schiffer versus Sky Blue in the competition. I mean, this match, the crowd could have went and got a hot dog. They could have went and used the bathroom, and the crowd was on fire all night long, except for this bout. They showed more of the ladies that were sitting at ringside. You also had Jay Carlson in the back, not even watching the fight. Just cutting. She cut a good promo, with her arrogance, but it was a good. To be honest with you, despite not being hot, the ladies did perform a pretty clean fight, in my opinion. But just what didn't get over with the crowd, and it's kind of worrisome. AEW, when it comes to the women's division, and they got a tournament. Maybe the Owen Hart tournament will bring in some new talent, or these ladies go all out. But that's right now, that's the weakest link in AEW, besides not having storylines. Do you agree with me or disagree?
Heel, you go first.
About what? Sorry.
The women's division in AEW, I think, is the weakest link in the company, besides not having storylines.
Yeah, that's exactly my reaction. Because when someone says like the AEW women's division, I'm just like, I have to think about it for one second. I'm like, oh yeah, well, at least I remember Vicky Guerrero cutting promos. I'm like, excuse me. And I'm just like, but ask me to name like a match, something like that. I'm like, I really can't name a memorable match the AEW women's roster has done yet. I'll be honest with you.
No.
And none of them are really memorable, and that's not to insult them or like that, but it's like, I don't know. Like, and I remember we talked about this, I think, in the last show, but I was like, you remember when Rosita or whatever was in TNA? I can't believe they didn't hire her. And Chase was like, oh yeah, you mean the other girl that was in TNA with her? Yeah, she's in AEW. And I was like, oh really? Well, I didn't know that. Well, I guess that plan's in the dump now. Like, yeah. But yeah, it's the weakest link when your most memorable character, and it's literally Vicky Guerrero. Yeah, we got issues.
But they have a couple. I personally, I actually like Thunder Rose with the belt. I kind of like. I think she, man, not only that, she's the first Latina in AEW to win the title. That whole angle, I like it, but they need flair, and Jay Carlson is the one that has that pizzazz, that aura. But I don't know. It's like, you don't want to rush these ladies to go at it either, but because you're gonna run stale, and you're gonna.
Well, here's my thing about belts. Okay, well, sorry.
It's titles.
Yeah,
belts hold your feet, your pants up.
Yeah, here's my thing about titles. Okay, does it really matter if it's not built right? Like, for example, you look at any other wrestling company, a title matters. Why? Because it's on a wrestler that needs to be built, and then you pass it on to another person that has
Mhm.
hopefully a better story than you, if not just as good of a story than you. Like that goes for any company. Like even I'm not sure if he still holds it, but even when Okada held it, it meant a lot. Why? Because he was the obstacle to overcome. You know, Kenny Omega back when he'd held it in New Japan. You know, that meant a lot, and then so on and so forth. You know, AEW. I'll be honest with you, that's the problem with they have right now. They're not really. You know, their titles are kind of like, and then this goes for other titles. It's kind of like the only one that means the most. And granted, it's retired, and now and then they rebranded it. Was a TNT World title. I remember that's what it's called, and that's because Brody Lee sadly passed away.
Mhm.
And then, you know, right now, even their world title is kind of like iffy because it's like, okay, at first it kind of meant something because here's Chris Jericho, who's their first holder, and it's like, okay, that's a big deal. Now let's go with it. And then let's be honest, once I believe Kenny Omega was next to hold it, or what, third?
Mhm.
It's like, let's be honest, at the time, Kenny Omega was the wrong person to hold it. And it's not necessarily, I guess, AEW's fault because they were like under this impression that Kenny Omega still had his flair from New Japan, when in reality, Kenny Omega I'll be honest with you, he just made the wrong decision going to AEW. That was just not the right time to go. Honestly, he just went to the E first, got some more hype around him, then went to AEW if he wanted to, because he had so much hype and potential. He was like, anyone who's ever watched real sports, he was like that number one prospect that was so hyped up. And then it's almost like, no offense to EW, but this is just what every other wrestling company is compared to WWE. But it's almost like he decided to go back to AAA instead of going straight to MLB
Mhm.
or NFL, NBA, whatever have you. And it's just like Tonkin and Meg at the time, so it almost felt kind of like a weird transition. That belt honestly should have gone to someone like, eventually you should have built up Darby Allin or someone like that and then put the belt on them. I feel like, because Kenny Omega, I'll be honest with you, he shouldn't have gotten the belt at the time. It just wasn't a good move. I'll be honest with you. And the women's title right now needs someone big to hold that title. They need an obstacle. Same with the tag team belts. They need an obstacle. Like, what is WWE doing right? They're putting an obstacle with Roman Reigns. What has New Japan been doing right? They're putting up obstacles for the actual wrestlers that will come. Right now, AEW doesn't have that true obstacle. Like, name me one wrestler in AEW that feels like an obstacle for someone to overcome. I'll wait.
Wardlow.
Yeah.
And females. Let's see. Right now, the way they're pushing them, Shafir, Jade, in the sense of being cocky, but they're pushing her to be unstoppable. That's it. Talking wise, Britt Baker is unstoppable in the mic, in the sense of against the person that's talking.
Mhm.
And Rosa, I hate to agree, Rosa's championship reign should not be Nyla Rose automatically. It should be somebody else. You're going backwards, and I don't like that.
Are they going to help the company though? Because even TNA did that right though. Even TNA did that right. They made their champions feel like obstacles. They made it feel like they were at war with each other. Like, for example,
That's true, but we have to consider that, well, TNA has been doing it for like many years and has many faults more than happiness. And I'm not giving an excuse to AEW. AEW is a 2 to 3 year company, and you have a whole bunch of experts from different kitchens giving you different advice. But at the end result, it's Tony Khan's output. You have to remember that. The women's division, yes, you're right. I will counterpoint one thing, but I'm gonna get to the women's division first. The women's division is this: you have 20-something women. Jade Cargill is the TBS champion, but you're supposed to elevate the wrestler to something more. And right now, it seems that her peak in life is the TBS championship, and that's it, which is scary because you just got the belt. You're supposed to get the belt, get elevated from it, and leave it, and then you go on from there. But for her, she's stuck in it. She's stagnant. I hate that. Rosa, they changed the belt because I didn't like that little small one. For me, I didn't like it. For women, it should be as big as the men's. And they got it big. That's awesome. and she's gonna fight Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose is battle tested, hardcore tested, everything else. I'm happy for that. But after that, then what? Who the hell are you gonna fight? There's not that many competition of females in AEW. All you got is you got Sheeta, Deeb, Britt Baker. Can't go back to that again. Freaking everything, and a couple more women that I can think of. Hayter, Tony Storm, couple more, but I don't like it. But the counterpoint, Mr. Heel. Now let's use the analogy of AAA for Kenny Omega, because I love this argument. I talked about this before in another podcast. Right. Now he goes to the MLB. Now he's a star in AAA. He's gotten no in AAA. He's the best baseball player. What are you gonna say in AAA? He gets called up to MLB. Mind you, it's three times as harder. You have to do a bigger schedule. You're more prone to accidents. You don't really get your own creative control, and you have to do what they say. Mind you, the name alone would get him in the door, and it would get him in MLB and be great. But he wouldn't last as great. Maybe let's say he went in 2019, right? Let's say he didn't go to AEW and went to WWE in 2019. Would you believe he is as high a level as Roman Reigns in 2022 if he was in WWE for 4 years? Because AJ Styles, for me, is at the same level of Kenny Omega. He's done the work. He's done the time. He did everything he wanted to do. But when he went to WWE, he was hot for like the first year and a half, went down, got up again, had a fight with Shinsuke, went down again, got stuck with Omos, and now the stain of Omos is on him for a very long time. Then he fought Edge, sure, dream match. But that's it. That's what you got. Up and down.
And here's my counterpoint.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I get your argument, and it's fair enough. However, AJ Styles is one of those wrestlers that, yes, I get it. A lot of people had a lot of questions when he came to WWE for the first time. Mm-hmm. However, he was big enough to the point where he won the belt, got a lot of respect from the higher ups in WWE. Again, to the point where he won the belt. And yes, I agree. There were probably some questionable times, but then again, there's questionable times for every wrestler. There was even questionable times for Roman Reigns. But
you're right.
But you can argue that they had enough trust in him to actually help almost get over. On top of that, AJ Styles is arguably bigger. Well, maybe I should say bigger than the belt, but he doesn't need the belt. And on top of that, he'll always be AJ Styles. He has a guaranteed spot in the WWE Hall of Fame waiting for him.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he can go to any company in the world, including WWE if he wanted to, and he's set. He'll win a world title basically anywhere. So my question to you is Kenny Omega just afraid to test himself? Is Kenny Omega just afraid that he'll probably just go there and probably be exposed? Or like
I'll say the answer to that a little bit. Well, not really yes and not really no, but I don't want to be an ass and I'm not a politician, so I'll be honest. I will say yes. Maybe he would have got burnt out. Maybe his creative control, the way that he thinks, wouldn't coincide with WWE. I get that, but you have to consider WWE right now is not the end all be all place. It's just for nostalgia purposes for wrestlers now. Cody Rhodes went back just for nostalgia. It wasn't because of the money. Tony Khan could have given money hand over fist, but he went because he wanted to have a chance to win a belt, because for him, and he said in interviews, he's missing that in his life. That's great, sure. And he wants to retire at 40. He's 37 right now. He wants to do 3 more years and retire, which is smart. Don't be like Ricky Morton and you're 63 doing Canadian in the stores with your son. That's nuts. But that's Morton. Respect to him. But for Kenny Omega, I would say I've always seen him and his body of work as a goofy but hardcore serious wrestler at the same time. Remember, he did fight a doll for a while. He fought a 9-year-old for a while. He did some crazy stuff. But that doesn't define him. What defines him, in my idea of watching him in AEW, matches against Moxley, matches against Hangman, matches against Ray Phoenix, Yes, he's goofy at sometimes, but you cannot deny that his body of work of wrestling matches have been superb on and off. He has literally given his body to almost near death to make sure that the match goes on. So I will always give him respect for there. But he goes to WWE. Okay, he fights. I don't know. He fights Roman Reigns, maybe win 1, lose 3. He fights Brock, lose. He fights Edge, lose. He fights maybe Randy Orton, loses, maybe wins 1, loses 5. Like, you gotta look at those stats. Those big numbers are always gonna win more than Kenny Omega, and that's sad because Kenny Omega should sometimes get 3 and lose 1 against a Randy Orton. Because Randy Orton, come on, man, you're old enough. Pass the torch. Yes.
And I can argue this. It's not the stats versus the other wrestler that matters, by the way. Because when you watch wrestling, it's not the stats that matter the most. Yes, I get it. The hardcore fan will pay attention to that, and granted, sometimes I do. And unless you're the Undertaker, I mean, stats matter more than ever, right?
Of course.
But other than that, no one really pays attention to stats, right? But what matters most in wrestling is the moments.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if Kenny Omega goes like 1 in 4 versus Roman Reigns. Let's just say hypothetically the one and only win he has against Roman is let's just say magically he appeared right now and he pinned Roman at SummerSlam or WrestleMania. Do you think anyone's really going to care about those other 4 losses as long as his one win was for the unified Universal world title at WrestleMania or SummerSlam?
No, only if after WrestleMania they don't bury him like most champions happen after WrestleMania.
Oh, trust me.
A la Bryan, WrestleMania 30, that he won the belt and then he had to fight Kane. And that was just the worst time of his life.
But not a lot of people care about that or even remember that. Why? Because when you think about Daniel Bryan, you think about his feuds with The Miz, and you think about WrestleMania 30, when he beat Triple H, Randy Orton, basically every member of Evolution, all in the same night. Anything about him getting out of the stretcher, a bad A, and going there, and I think he won by submission against Batista.
Yeah, he did. He made him tap.
You think about that. So, as a wrestling fan, you don't really look at the stats. Again, like I said, unless you're Taker, you look at the moments. The moments is what matters the most in wrestling, and that's just facts.
No, I know. I grew up. I guess for me, I love the moments, but then working in a podcast, it evolved into stats because now it's just stats for me. But again, I love the pureness of your conversation, Mr. Heel. It's just the moments is what really matters. Punk versus Penta Oscuro slap chop fest was a moment that is going to be etched forever. Wardlow sliding into the ring like a freaking fish, because a lot of people are comparing that to him, like he's like a little fish. Like he was actually, wow. I love those moments, but again, I'm gonna stop because we have more AEW to keep going, and we can talk about stats for hours.
Yeah, let me add this to close out the Kenny Omega conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, I think personally, if Kenny Omega comes to the World Wrestling or WWE, I think he'll have a Rob Van Dam type of career. Rob Van Dam was very over. He got over. He got some moments. Never got the world title, if I'm not mistaken. But he
did actually.
Oh,
he won it from John Cena. He won he won both world heavyweight, I think, and the WWE title.
The
actually.
spinning one that Cena had,
the spinning title. I think that's what Kenny Omega will eventually.
He won a world title anyway.
I think he'll have a similar career to RVD, and then after he gets over and then he just ends up putting younger talent over until his eventually a release. Remember Cody said it. Not everyone is made to come wrestle in the WWE. The schedule is 7. It's a 7-day commitment on the road, and some of the wrestlers are not up to it. And maybe he took shots at people in AEW, but we'll leave that there.
That's true though, Kev. But guess what? There's something waiting for RVD too. Eventually, that's a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could debate that. We could, I guess. Yeah.
That's another podcast in general where we're gonna talk about the Hall of Fame. I have my thoughts on that, but we're not talking about the Hall of Fame. We're talking about AEW.
Yeah. So we'll continue out there. And speaking of Warlord and MJF had a wrestling match with Captain Sean Dean. Captain Sean Dean is what 3-0 against the Pinnacle. and
Yep.
he has another match with MJF. MJF, always one of the most entertaining wrestlers, performers, sports entertainer, and he's a historian with the classic jacket, can unbuckle. That was back from the 80s. That's
Mhm.
back from the 80s, from one of those bits from the old WCW days or NWA days that he couldn't. And he's a student. You could tell that MJF, he respects the history of wrestling,
Mhm.
and he gets it. He gets it, and I love that whole promo, that whole prop. Couldn't get his jacket off, and as we saw what happened there with it, and Warlow comes out, and you go to he was controlling the match, and they went to the jumbotron, the big screen, and they see all the I don't, security on the floor. I don't know where the hell the security didn't have a shirt, but later on we find out why. And we see a security guard with no shirt. I was like, what is this? And then all of a sudden, MJF is on the rails, and Warlow comes with mask and with a security shirt right behind MJF, and he looked like he saw a ghost. Man, what's your thoughts on that one, Alex? That was good.
That was like it was the really small moments of that match. The fact
Yes.
that when MJF turned around, and I noticed that too. I'm like, why the hell the guy has no shirt? What the hell happened to him? Like, is if Wardlow getting a little weird now? I hope not. But then when you see MJF's like, yeah, and then you're backing away. Shout out to people who this is on YouTube. If you watch the match again, the part where where Wardlow comes in and then takes off the mask, the guy in the cowboy hat does not notice Wardlow at all. And then when he turns around, he's like,
With the glasses and the vest, the Indian kid, he was going, he did this.
And the part that made me pop, was JR and commentary. The second MJF turned around and looked at Wardlow, and Wardlow smiled. Ross just said one thing. Yeah. That's all. He's like, oh, te jodiste. So he turned around and you see MJF swimming there. Swim like a fish into the ring, and he runs away. He gets chaired by Spears. Nothing happens. No sells it. He has 10 people holding him. These are small things in the match. Obviously, we know realistically in a wrestling match, MJF can destroy Sean Dean, no matter how much your credentials are. Your level is way higher than you, Sean. I'm sorry to say that. So, by the way, Sean Dean is the booker for Dark and Elevation. So maybe
Right.
this is kind of like a thank you for being the booker for so long, for so many months. So I like that for him. But the part that made me pop, MJF, you're outside. MJF, you're trying to wave away from Wardlow. The ref is still counting. And I love that. Bryce Rensford is like 7, 8, 9. And then hey, I'll give you triple. I will give you triple your amount if and only if you don't count. And I did like, again, commentary. Shivani's like, don't do it. Don't you do it, Brett. Don't you do it. And Ross is like, don't do it. Don't you dare. And then 10. But then later on, when MJF pushes Bryce, most refs will be all scared. Now Bryce pushes them back like, no, what the hell? I did everything right. And I was here when he was mouthing, I counted you out. I did nothing wrong. You didn't stop pushing me for it, which I love that. That continued. And then afterwards, Wardlow gets the camera and says that I will be on your ass every single week until you release me of my contract. And then he destroys the camera and destroys the crowd. I mean, the security. I want to ask a question for Mr. Heel. Do you believe they are booking Wardlow like a young Brock Lesnar in a sense? Because they are pushing him so much that chairs don't even hurt him anymore.
I can be honest with you and say I haven't seen much of Wardlow, but I can say this. It's kind of hard to book a new Brock Lesnar, and here's why. Because when Brock first came in, it was kind of like the whole, maybe he's just being forced to be this badass. Oh, sorry for my language. Again, I try to heard that word. I try to hold that word, but it again just came out. But anyway, and then obviously we all know what happened. He ended up leaving, and then John Cena was like, forced to be the star because they basically had no other choice. And then Brock, in a sense, kind of built himself up to be that bad A dude because he went to football. he went to the UFC, and then he came back, and then he had that mainstream just bad A vibe to him. Because you're like, holy cow, this is a former now UFC world champion. And basically, the only time he could lose is if he had diverticulosis. Yeah. And he lost, granted, the one time he did lose fairly was to Cain Velasquez. And Cain Velasquez is still no joke.
No, of course.
Yeah. And let me tell you, the fact that big dude was in UFC and can fight the way he did, that is called booking yourself and then coming back and making wrestling more believable. And that's why Brock now has the aura that he does. Because if you go back and watch Brock's old entrances, he would still get a reaction, but it wasn't the type of reaction he gets now. Because now when Brock comes out, you automatically, once you hear that, everyone turns and is like, oh my God, who's going to get their butts kicked today? But back then it was like, oh, well, here's this guy that's probably going to, just be a wrestler.
But do you see similarities to Wardlow? That was.
It's hard to say. I think it's way too soon.
I think it is too. It's just in terms of booking, in terms of the way they're booking them, that no matter how many security guards you push Wardlow into, he will destroy it. And only a set number of people can only hold him, not stop him, hold him. But again, I like this. This is a storyline that's been built up for about a year and a half, slowly cooking into the point that he's going to fight MJF, get release of his contract, and finally get a belt, probably the TNT belt, where he was supposed to get anyway, against Scorpio Sky. Which I think that's what they're doing. They're just like, he's going back to Sky, but they're just going to go down the long way until eventually he fights Sky again and win the belt. Because he was supposed to win in that match. You saw the story of the match. He was going to win it no matter what.
I'll just say this: wrestlers like Brock Lesnar, they don't grow on trees, and I'll even go as far as to say you can't really book wrestlers like Brock Lesnar.
No, you can't.
They just come naturally.
Yes,
and those, my friend, are called naturally gifted wrestlers.
Yes.
Wrestlers that just come in and they take the world by storm. And though there are some wrestlers that, yes, they need booking and then they get over, but again, those wrestlers like Brock, they just come and immediately. You just know, like, that dude's a megastar. That dude was built for this business. So
yeah,
we'll have to see with Wardlow.
With Wardlow right now, I think they're with him and MJF. They're in the greatest feud of 2022 right now. That is the best. And for them, the way they're building up for the past, you say a year and a half, or almost a year.
Yeah, it's been going on since he hired Wardlow and he smacked his face when Wardlow said something back to him a year and a half ago. It's been building and building and building. And now they're just using Sean Dean as in a sense, like you're slowing down. Like, we can't do MJF Wardlow right now, so let's just put Sean Dean in there to kind of like,
buy some time. Since they only do they have to buy time until Double or Nothing is the next pay-per-view. So that's what they're trying to buy time there, because you don't want to get that stale and build up, and it's really building up. It's getting even every week it gets more steam. And let's face it, I my flowers to MJF. I think I cannot wait to see what Vince McMahon is going to do with that, man, and Paul Heyman. I cannot wait.
Yeah, he's leaving 2024. He's out.
Done.
He's out of AEW.
Oh yeah, Vince McMahon. As soon as that guy is a free agent, especially now that he's being compared to, like, basically everyone's saying he's going to be the future Miz. Oh, Vince McMahon is going to call him and be like, yeah, so how much MJF? MJF is just going to name his price. Miz like, done. Yeah, and then Tony Khan's be like, why are you taking my talent now, bro? Yeah. Like, what's up? Yeah.
And he's the type of smart wrestler that he can be smart, and when he does get a contract with WWE, he can negotiate. He's like, no, if I want this, I want creative control. I want this and this and this, and guaranteed these things. Cody didn't go back with open arms and say, oh, do whatever you want. No, he sat down with Vince and sat down with the contract and bit by bit, MJF, do that. Because again, MJF versus The Miz, I'm sorry to say this, Miz, but you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
MJF is young, hungry. Even Jim Ross said it. He's a puppy. He's a loud puppy, but he's a hungry puppy. And he's only 24. And just give him a little bit of a material against it. Yes.
MJF versus The Miz. Especially on a WWE like type of environment, it's gonna be so interesting because they both got one thing in common. That's the fact they find any way to win, no matter what it is. Like you saw The Miz at WrestleMania, he was just like he basically pretended to be knocked down the side of the ring, and the Mysterio's like, "Oh, we got this. We're gonna win." Then The Miz comes out of nowhere, picks up Dominic, slams him. Then The Miz, he just finds a way any way to win, just like MJF.
Yeah.
And then I'll say this about AEW: if you can find a way to lock that guy up long term, because like I said it once and I'll say it again, he is the AJ Styles to your company. You do not let that guy go for anything. Whatever he wants, you give him.
Yep.
I don't care.
2 years left. That's it.
Yeah, you need to sign him to an extension, because if you let that guy go, there's going to be companies lining up to steal him away from you, whether it's New Japan, WWE, or even other smaller companies like maybe Impact.
Imagine if he went to New Japan.
Yeah.
MJF in New Japan would be nuts. He would just take over the whole Bullet Club just because.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, so that's a spicy, juicy rivalry with those guys. Going forward, and I hope that the match lives up to all the hype that we build up, which I think so. I think Wardlow is a really good in-ring wrestler. I think speaking of Wardlow being a Brock Lesnar, let's see if he be a Batista. Although Batista wasn't that great, but
in time he got better. Yeah,
he got better.
Luckily, Wardlow has all these different trainers from different parts of the world that can sit down with you and say, "Hey, what do you want to learn? What do you want to do?" If you get a little technical, go ask Bryan Danielson. He's training Jade right now, so he's doing something good. So.
Yeah, and let's give it MJF a little bit of time too, because let's not forget, and let's not underrate The Miz. The Miz is going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's at the very least, arguably a top 15 wrestler of all time already.
Yeah, I hate to say it, and I really hate to say it.
So let's give MJF a little bit of time too. No pressure, Maxwell.
No. Like I said,
yeah.
But in 2024, he has to leave AEW. In order to set your destiny, you have to leave AEW in 2024 and do other things and do like a Cody run. Go to different promotions and just talk crap to everybody. And then on your way to WWE, you got all that credential on your back, which you already have anyway, but it's good to be over-prepared. That's all.
Yeah. We'll move on, but I make a bold statement. Before 2024, I think MJF will be released from his contract with AEW.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that a little bit because I'm gonna spill the coffee, not the tea, the coffee.
It's gonna be muy caliente.
All right, so we'll go to the next one. But they cut a promo earlier in Dynamite with Chris Jericho and the Appreciation Club. You saw Kingston and Ortiz beating them up at that plane. Boy, that must have been the most smallest plane in the world. Seeing those guys come out of that plane, and they got jumped. For some reason, they stole one of the guy's shoes and they left them barefoot.
For some reason. We talking about, man, they're Puerto Ricans. Like, we're gonna steal everything from your ass. You won. That means you can't run after us.
I didn't want to say that, but
I'll say it. I don't care. When I saw that, I'm like, wait, where are the shoes? Oh, son of a bitch, they took their shoes. That's fucked up. I mean, that's messed up. But hey, that's what we do. We take like nice shoes.
Quiet on the set, Alex.
So later we finally see a 6-man tag between them. I thought it was gonna be a brawl, Alex, and it just was a wrestling, clean tag.
6-man tag. That's it.
It was a clean tag, in and out. No, I thought it was gonna be a brawl, chaos, and but they were tagging clean tags, and okay, and we ultimately saw Floyd come into play and got Jericho's and Daniel Garcia and Jack Hager the victory, and then we saw the other members come out, and let me ask you something: for a guy who got his shoes stolen, on the tarmac on a plane. When he got to the ring, he had the most cleanest fucking feet. Excuse me for my language that I ever seen. Because when you walk the streets and when you walk barefooted all over the place, they turn on tar black, and they were clean.
Yep.
So AEW, you gotta make it a little more believable with that storyline there. So all in all, I think personally, they need to bring more people to this feud for Ortiz and Kingston. It's 5-on-3 right now. I mean,
yeah.
You
I
can't
think
really...
Homicide. It makes sense if Homicide comes in and another team member from TNA and somebody else. You got ROH. Someone has to know Ortiz and Santana from somewhere, and then bring in. I did like that.
Yeah, LAX. Maybe some more members from LAX come in.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you got Rivera and Boogie from MLW. You can call them too. Like they just lost the MLW tag team belts, so you can do something different with them. And Rivera is Danny Limelight from AEW, so you just bring it back as Danny Limelight. There's a lot of different things. I didn't like this match. This was a straight up 6-man match. I'm like, whatever. So I think they're gonna lead to what the Best Friends did with Proud and Powerful when they had a street fight with the cars and everything. So I think they're gonna lead up to that. But you need 2 more people. You can't have a 3-on-3 street fight. You can't have a 3-on-5 street fight. You have to have them fight or Stadium Stampede. Most things like that end in that. So they probably will culminate to a Stadium Stampede. Sure. Because there's something called the Blackpool Combat Club that's slowly adding their ranks. So when they get to 5, they'll have a Stadium Stampede too, which I love for that.
I will love that too. All out brawl there. With that, let's elaborate there. Just then we saw, I think it was Santana with the shoes around his neck. It was like, where is he coming out with the shoes? And I saw the promo earlier. And I said, okay. Yeah. I said, ay Dios mío. I thought they were going to show the shoes being thrown up on a telephone pole or on a telephone line, but now he kept with it.
That would have been funny. Yeah. No, it would have been even funnier if they would have threw it above the Titantron and then you just see them look up. That's my shoes. That would have been funny too. But,
that would have been funny there. And then of course we saw more from Hook. Hook. Let me talk about Hook there. Hook doesn't say much. He doesn't say a lot of stuff, but he's getting over with the crowd. Yeah. And for a guy doesn't say much, he's more like kind of like a Goldberg mystique when he first came up.
Because he has the credentials of Taz. Like if anyone that's the difference, because there's as Mr. Heel said, like there's hardcore wrestling fans and there's casual fans and there's just fans. For the hardcore wrestling fans, we love Hook because he has a pedigree of his dad. He's a lacrosse player, judo, not a judo master, but a judo aficionado, and he's done the work. And he's training with QT Marshall, where a guy that's been training everybody, which is great. And I like Hook. He's literally said nothing, and I've watched a lot of BTE and backstage stuff. The only thing he's ever said is that when Sammy Guevara asked him, like, hey, is your dad going to get mad that you're on my show? He's like, I don't think so. I mean, I'm on this guy's show. And then that was the only thing he ever said. And he has a nice little sweet voice. So that's probably why they don't want him to talk. He's like, dude, you sound like a freaking babyface. So don't talk. Shut up.
Yeah.
Sure. That's great. But for Hook, I think the way they're going to do it, like a Goldberg, they're just going to keep adding wins for like maybe a year. And then when he fights somebody, he'll get the belt. I don't know who, but I'm actually very interested to see him versus Danhausen. A lot of people that I know, like who love wrestling, say that Danhausen can go, but he only goes at certain times. He doesn't wrestle a lot because he's a little old, but he knows how to wrestle. So that'll be a good match. Something that'll Hook doesn't need this. Hook doesn't need the push. He does not. But Danhausen does. So, yes, Danhausen loses, but it might give him the rub that he needs, that people are like, oh, why is Danhausen there? All he does is this. Like, no, he's a wrestler. He just does more comedy than wrestling.
Okay.
Look at Yano.
The main question is, if he's similar to Goldberg, will he be in Ready to Rumble 2?
Oh. In the back of my mind, I said, I hope he oh my God.
No, the reason why I mentioned Goldberg was Goldberg didn't speak and cut a promo until he won the United States title.
And that was like 100 and something wins.
Yeah,
That was
then he
way
finally,
in the ups.
and when he finally, and then he was like, man, this guy really doesn't talk that well. He doesn't
Oh,
cut a promo that well.
oh.
Maybe, because it brings me to the fight. I'll get back to Hook in a second, and I wanted to set it up because we saw, Limitless Kid Lee and Swerve take on, Swerve Strickland take on against Team Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricky Stark. Now, Ricky Stark, the hometown favorite, heel though, was totally over with the crowd.
Right.
The crowd ate him up and sucked him up like a biscuit because they loved that, and it was a good fight. I'm not a big fan of Keith Lee, but all in all a good fight. And the fight ended with Taz coming at ringside. Now he was weird. I thought there was gonna be type of a dismantle of of Team Taz or something on those lines, but Taz coming out there was irrelevant. What's your thoughts, Alex?
Actually was relevant. The last time he was in that same building was 29 years ago in ECW. That's why they were chanting ECW.
Oh.
Shout out to Promo Joe on YouTube. I'm not gonna take the credit for that. He is a wrestling historian. That guy got down to the exact place and day. So I want to give him a shout out for that.
Wow.
And
yes.
it's relevant because again, he doesn't want Ricky and Hobbs to lose in their hometown. It makes sense. No, he knows that Powerhouse Hobbs is a monster, and he knows that Swerve Strickland is living rent free in Ricky Stark's head. He had to get in there to help. I think on Friday or on Wednesday, they're going to address that, where either Ricky Starks and Hobbs are like, why did you come out? We had this. It was no, I was just making sure you're okay. So that's like a little seed. But I was kind of like, why the hell is Taz coming out? He wasn't even on commentary. But then after the next day on YouTube, I'm like, oh. But that's something that we would mess the casual fan, like yourself, Mr. Kevin. You didn't know about that. So that kind of pissed. And they said it on commentary. But who the hell is going to listen to commentary when you see fucking 2, 3, 4 Titans fight in the ring? No one's going to listen to it. So I get
and it was a good fight. For now,
it was a good fight, yeah.
And I'll let you get in on some heel. My point was with Taz and looking at dismantle of his powerhouse, his team, because now you could push Taz now to Hook. Let him be the mouthpiece. Let Taz cut the promos, be the mouthpiece for and Hook. Make him, and since he's over and Taz could bring him up, and I think that's a good pairing. And then you could kind of break that alliance with that storyline with them. And I think that's why I said I wanted to bring that back over with that.
I understand completely. It makes sense. And I think that what they did, and they've actually not said this, is they separated from Hook on purpose. They want Hook to do his own thing and be his own person. So when they finally come back to Hook, Hook can either stay a heel or he can go babyface and say, you know what? I don't want to be with you guys anymore. I'm above you guys now. I've ascended, which will piss off his dad, I've listened to a lot of commentary. He does not like his dad. He loves his dad. He does not talk to him. He doesn't give a crap about him. He doesn't give a crap about his works. His nothing. Nada. All Hook cares about is moving forward and getting wins. That's all he cares about. That's his Taz mentality. You made a monster, Taz. Deal with it. But with Hook, sure. I mean, I love that. I want to see Hook versus Swerve. I don't want to see Hook versus Powerhouse Hobbs. No, not for another year. Not for another year. Hobbs do his thing. Shout out to Swerve Strickland doing a move that he did on Lucha Underground, where he used Hobbs as a bouncing board, and hit Ricky Stark's shoulder on this one. No, this one. Just pop. Oh, and then Ricky Stark's immediately selling it like his arm is dead. He's like, oh no. And shout out to freaking Powerhouse Hobbs doing a reverse leapfrog. And I did like that Hobbs went through. He kind of botched it for a second, but he had to stop anyway, and then he kept going. I love that. And then he threw Starks into Hobbs. These are things that I like. I know you don't like Hobbs. I understand that. And Hobbs is an acquired taste. That's why they haven't really showed him with Adam Cole together for a reason. Because once they show them together, that's a storyline. That's Adam Cole running away from Hobbs because Hobbs is going to throw his ass off the ring again. We don't want that. That's funny though, by the way. Look that up. But you never saw that? Adam Cole was in the crowd. Adam Cole was coming down the ramp in NXT, and Powerhouse, not Hobbs. I'm sorry, Keith Lee comes out of nowhere and hits him so hard that he flew over 2 people in the crowd and hit the third person. Just woof.
Oh, I gotta see that because
It's
I wasn't
beautiful.
big into NXT at that time when they were
That
when
was,
they were
that,
when they had their run.
that's what popped Lee. That's what made Lee, in my opinion, the star of NXT from that point on. Like, yeah, but
Okay.
But I digress. Swerve, he lost. But again, this is AEW. In your hometown, 80% of the time you win. So Starks, congratulations. You won. And he was crying too. I like that. Starks, when he got in,
He held the tears.
he held the tears. Like he knew. And again, he has not been. He was supposed to be in New Orleans 2 years ago when he won the title, but he couldn't because of COVID. We go full circle all over again. He got the thing that he always wanted. So I'm so happy for you. And he's
The only thing I'm gonna say was a
days.
little down, Alex, was he didn't get the pin. He didn't get the pin for the match. That's all. I wish
right.
they would have got that though.
No, because then like, oh, you're giving him the rub. Like, no, like, it made sense. He got the pop. He got the pop during the wrestling match. Let someone else get the rub.
Okay.
Swerve can take it. I mean, Lee can take the loss because again, he's big enough to take the loss, and Starks can move on because again, Starks is going to fight on Saturday. Maybe this is why they gave him the rub so that on Saturday he loses the belt because he's 273 days as champion. It's time to give it up. We're not doing the Roman Reigns thing of a year. No, 6 months, 7 max. Take it off.
Are you sure you don't want to do that though? Because like the one I said it too in the last week's podcast. I was like, sometimes you gotta like those long title reigns because again, like we just talked about, even in this show, it creates a nice obstacle, which creates an amazing story sometimes.
But with Starks, it's detrimental to him because he's only defended the belt four times in 7 months, and then those 4 times has always been because of someone coming up to him, pissing them off mentally, and he acts like he acts like a baby, and then fights.
Well, that's more of a booking and storyline problem.
And that's the problem with that. So take the belt off him and give it to somebody. It's the same thing with this. It's what I call the Scorpio Sky problem. You gave the belt to Scorpio Sky, and it's not elevating him. It's not. He had a winning streak before he got the belt, and it wasn't elevating him. So you thought putting a belt. Putting a belt on him.
Title.
Sorry, title. Title on him.
Holds up your pants.
Exactly, would make it better, but it's not. It's making it worse. Why? Because you're sticking him with Sammy Guevara. You're sticking with him with a guy that shouldn't be stuck with him at all. So maybe with Starks, I want him to be elevated, but he's stuck as the FTW champion. It's not worth it. I thought Swerve was going to take it off him, and it should have been Swerve. Like, let Swerve got the swags. Swerve can do the defense. Swerve will literally lose chunks of his body to sell a match. Shout out to AR Fox versus Killshot, Lucha Underground 2014. He lost chunks of his body in a death match. Okay? Best death match I've ever seen between Killshot and AR Fox. Chef's kiss. Okay? So that's what I mean. Just something else. And for Hobbs, and that's another thing too. Hobbs is getting buried next to Starks. And Hobbs should be by himself. Not by himself, but elevated more. Not be the guy that does the pose. And that, because you know what pissed me off? He came out of Starks' music. So how the hell are you going to be elevated if you come out with Starks' music? Nah, dude. It doesn't really help. You know, you're in his hometown doing his stuff. You're not getting elevated. You're getting buried. That's all I got to say about this.
Good observation on that one. I didn't think about that one. Great observation.
You guys
and mind you, I got kicked out of another podcast. So, you know.
Yeah. And you guys have pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say almost. The only thing I'll really say is when it comes to Hook, if everyone wants him to become like the next Goldberg, or if he wants to make that, he definitely needs to be built more. Because the one, like, I think as fans we're really obsessed with nostalgia deep down, like, or at least we want wrestlers today to be at least a little bit like wrestlers in the past. And if you want a guy like Hook to be the next Goldberg, he's gonna have to be believable. And a lot of people don't understand that. But if you want to be, you know, an A kicker, you're gonna have to look like one. You can't just you can't just book a guy and just force it down people's throats. You have to actually look like the character
Yeah.
For example, the one thing that made Goldberg so good is the fact that he looked like he can just come in your house and wreck the living crap out of you.
No. And
Yeah.
I want to correct myself. I don't want him to be the new Goldberg. I want him to be the next Taz.
He looks like he can. Yes. Well, even Taz looks like a more believable butt kicker than him. Like I'll be honest with you. When I look at Hook, I kind of see almost like a more edgy version of Matt Riddle.
Yeah. Damn, you're right. Damn. Yeah. Like a very it's like you take away the marijuana and the goofiness and you put in a Drago mentality, that's Hook. Focused, lasered, fight, done, leave. That's what Matt Riddle should have been. But the bro and the chancletas, it only goes to you.
I like Matt Riddle's character. That's the point. I can obviously tell already that I'm definitely like I like the in ring, but I really love stories and characters, and I can definitely tell. And you can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't want to label people, but I can definitely tell you're definitely the more hardcore fan when it comes to like just in ring ability, I guess.
Yes.
Is that a fair thing to say?
Of course, sir.
Okay. Yeah, but like I love Matt Riddle's characters because like to me, when it comes to wrestling, characters in the storyline is what sells.
No,
that's just the way wrestling's always been. And so Matt Riddle without the bro would just be boring. And that's just kind of how I see Hook. I'm like,
okay,
he's Matt Riddle without the bro, and
it's just but it's just the same time. Like Hook has that Johnny Depp face that's very attractive to the fans. Matt Riddle has anyway. Exactly. It's just it's the small things. It's the small things.
It's the little details.
Yeah, it's the little details. But you're right. Don't get me wrong. I love.
I like a good in ring. Fight. As much as the next guy. But to me, what good is a nice fight if you don't get a good storyline behind it? You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Matt Riddle is a great wrestler, and I've liked his little goofy gimmick in the beginning. But I don't want it to be that you're defining character for the rest of your life. Randy Orton was a certain character, evolved, and then evolved, and then evolved. You have to evolve in wrestling to be better in life. I mean, I love Dalton Castle. Don't get me wrong, and I love his little peacock gimmick. But I know that eventually that's gonna burn out. It hasn't yet.
It already has. So
look at that. See?
But the difference between Dalton Castle and a guy like Randy Orton is like. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people always say, "Oh, it's WWE that always let you not be there yourself." And that's not true in some cases. There are some companies that will just flat out say, and you know what? I'll be honest with you. Sometimes there are just some wrestlers that just try to be themselves, but sometimes their personality is just too bland.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sometimes you just don't have it, and that goes for any sport or
of course,
anything to do with entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy Orton, he just happened to be that rare guy again that was meant to be a wrestler. He has it, even in real life. Cody Rhodes was even cutting a promo about how Randy Orton just got more mature as days went on, and just like that, Randy Orton, he is who he is now. Back then, he was more of a, I guess you can say, douchebag. What does his character come off on TV? Douchebag he is, and as he matured. He kind of comes off almost like Matt Riddle's older brother, I guess you can say. And, and it fits well. It's one of those tag teams that shouldn't go together, but it does. And Matt Riddle, he's really chill from what I understand backstage. And again, so Matt Riddle's just a more extension of himself, the character. So again, it's yes, you have to evolve. You're right about that, but at the same time, when it comes to coming up with a wrestling character, you don't just this. Long story short, always be an extension of yourself. Yeah,
that's why you gotta love what Jericho's done. Jericho's reinvent himself from Lionheart, from Y2J to the Jericho with the list. When he just came in AEW, now with Judas, he's always keeps evolving and phenomenal.
It's never ending.
Ridiculous. No.
And look again, I know we have him on the show here, but look at the Miz. He went from the guy with shorts, that stopped and stop, and now he's the guy wearing suits and all that. And
has his own show, trying to do his own thing. Not a great. I mean, the only reason I watch the show is two reasons: to watch his dad, because his dad is a character, and to watch Ziggler and Matt and Zack Ryder.
Ziggler's died out, for crying out loud, because no one really cares about Ziggler.
No, that's his fault. That's Ziggler's in NXT right now. His brother's even worse, because his brother's on BTE, literally making videos screaming at people. Why won't you give a crap about me? I'm like, dude, you're just really crying about it now. It's not even worth it, dude. Stop.
That could be a gimmick if he works with it well. He's
been doing it for a year. I've been watching BTE for a year, and he actually switched it up because he says, I'm sick and tired of people, because I love this. I love YouTube, because YouTube, you can see when people dip out in certain situations. And someone backstage told him, the segments of yours, people dip out and they leave. So he made a video about that. Then that video of him going crazy, acknowledging that, then people liked it. So he made another video saying, getting pissed off, saying, why don't you you acknowledge that crap and you won't acknowledge that? No, you have to take everything I've done. I'm like, okay, now see what I mean? Now he's just, I like that AEW is like, you're going insane and we love it. Keep going. Just do your own demise, whatever. Because someone made a joke too. He went to a comedy club. This was last week. He went to a comedy club and someone wrote down like for improv, oh, I like you. But 11 years ago when you were relevant and you were like, no, that's not me, that's my brother. I'm like, oh, and the person's like, oh, you're not your brother? Oh, my bad, sorry. In a comedy show. That's messed up. Okay? It's names on the marquee. It's not. Anyway, that's what I mean. I mean, it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh man, so but let's wrap up AEW, because wow, I didn't think I would ever talk more than this on AEW, which is good. I love it, because this is what happens when you have good conversation, and it was phenomenal. Let's go with the main event for the Ring of Honor television title. You got the new acquisition, Samoa Joe, taking on the champion. What was his name? I didn't get his
Minoru Suzuki.
Suzuki. I don't watch Ring of guys, Mike, because I got so much wrestling, so much sports to watch, so I apologize.
No, of course.
Now the match started with, and I counted it, 58 chops. It was a chop fest. Those guys' chests were red. And you imagine how it is today. They must be black and blue, and they don't. Oh my God! All in all, and the crowd, they were into it. They were over. The whole night. So salute again. Once again, I cannot stop saying how well that crowd was. They were hot all night. Phenomenal. They just a little too much chopping, but it is what it is. You know what? You could tell that Suzuki is an older wrestler anyway. All in all, in pretty good, decent. When they did stop chopping, they did some good moves. They went back and forth. What's your thoughts on the fight before we give the results? I'm Alex.
Okay. Minoru Suzuki, legend in Japan. The guy is relative to Tama Tonga in the States. And if you don't know who Tama Tonga is, you're lucky, because that guy is scary. Straight up. He is the boogeyman of wrestling. No one messes with Tama Tonga. So you go across the sea, no one messes with Suzuki. So when I heard this match between Samoa Joe, who by the way is overweight, he's 307 pounds. He needs to go down to 265, 250. Easy, dude. You need to, please, for your health. Please. And against Suzuki, who's like, I think he's in his 50s. I think he's around 50, like around that area. And he's just as hardcore as he was before. I saw this match, and I didn't count the chops because I was just like, woo! Just jumping up in my seat watching this live. This was nuts. And it was a short match. Mind you, it was only like 10 minutes. Because, again, Suzuki can't go more than 10, 20 minutes. And Joe as well because of his weight. So I loved it. Short, sweet, to the point. Him giving homage to Suzuki. Suzuki gave homage to ROH. And I did like the booking of ROH. He won the belt last week to transition to Joe. And you're going to give eyes to the company because Suzuki is a name of wrestling. So automatically, people are going to see who is Suzuki going to fight. It's Joe. Perfect. And you put it on AEW television. That's cross promotion. That actually was pretty smart by Tony Khan. That was really smart. This ROH integration into AEW is smart. You're not making it into a separate brand. Until you make the brand, you keep it relevant. Sure. I want Suzuki to come back. It was always supposed to be Suzuki versus there was actually a match. It was supposed to be in the Indies. They were going to record it, but because of the quarantine, it was supposed to be Suzuki versus Orange Cassidy. Now that might sound like a stupid match, but this is Suzuki doesn't play gimmick matches. He fights and he wins. So that would have been a great match to see somewhere in the ether of wrestling. But as Mr. Kevin said to me before this episode started, the ending kind of crapped me. The ending kind of crapped on me because I know this is a storyline that you want to continue because you want to integrate people in there. I get that. But when everyone says yes and no one collectively says, hey, dude, that's not really cool, this happens. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, because you get Joe wins on a muscle buster. He wins the belt. And,
no more banned anymore because it was banned in WWE. Because he broke this guy's neck. Not on purpose, ladies and gentlemen. Not on purpose. It was a freak accident. It happens.
It does. And then lo and behold, when the crowd is going wild, he's celebrating. They put the strap on. They show him with the world title, the TV title. You got Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, at ringside. They were there at ringside. They were clapping. They were excited, and they told him, like they said last week, we got a present for you. Long and behold, the lovely present in the box, it was, Lethal giving him the bird. And I was like, oh, that was hilarious. So, I was like, we knew that. And all of a sudden the lights turn off. And this is where everything went, terrible. Go ahead and tell us who was the surprise there, Alex? Because it was, because I know you have to get going soon.
Now, I don't even know who the guy is. I'm pretty sure he was, whatever he is. I've seen him before. I thought it was the guy that's supposed to be coming in WWE, Veer Mahan, whatever his name is. I thought they fired him, and then he went to. I was like, oh, cool, they fired him, but no, it's somebody else. That's great. It's a new prospect. ROH picked them up. Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal's like, this is our new prospect, and he destroyed Samoa Joe. Understandably, because he just had a match with Suzuki. That's the only reason that he got beat up. You just had a match. You survived against Suzuki. You didn't win. You survived and won a belt afterwards, obviously. So this is going to be something that hopefully it stays in ROH, develops in ROH, and just over there. If they bring it over here, I'm not going to watch it. Straight up. I love Joe, but I don't care who this guy is. You got all these other tall guys in WWE. The reason I don't watch WWE because when you put a tall guy and I don't know nothing about him and you expect me to understand it, I don't like it. Sorry.
Well, you got to build those guys up. That's just
that's true.
You got to give them a chance to at least build them up. That's just.
I will give the guy a chance. I will watch his match.
Almost his 24, bro. Last year was like his first year in actual
but almost his match at WrestleMania was not a great match. That was by far one of his worst matches ever, and it wasn't his fault, and it wasn't Bobby Lashley's fault either. It was the placement of the time.
It wasn't a bad match though. You're talking about like a 1-year vet technically, at least as far as like relevancy, and then Bobby Lashley who's not used to like working with like guys like almost at least on a daily.
But I didn't like the fact that Lashley just came back from a shoulder injury.
And by the way, the story of the match was actually pretty good.
I like that. No, I did like the story. The story was very similar to Hobbs and Lee on Friday. Very similar, the whole thing. One's big, but one's just way stronger than the other. So you're just trying to break down the mountain. I did like that. But the whole gimmick was like, oh, we're in WrestleMania, so we have to copy Hogan Giant and try to do a suplex or a power slam or whatever.
I didn't take it that way. The way
I kind of
did, yeah.
The way I perceived it was, yes, the in ring. I think I even said this in the review. I was like, yes, the in ring quality was not really good. However, the story behind the match was actually really good. And I said, even when it finally happened on Raw, I was like, okay, this storyline can probably end up being really solid. Do I expect it to be like an amazing storyline? No, but it can actually end up being really good. And on top of that, Omos is like 27, I think. He's the same age as me, I think. Like,
Yes.
this actually pays off for him, this actually end up being a big deal. And by the way, I don't get today's wrestling where they act as if, I'm not saying you particularly, maybe you do, I don't know. But I don't like I don't like no. Like I said, I don't really assume things about people. I'm just saying, like, I don't like how like some people act like as if big wrestlers don't matter, because like, why, like, for example, when you look at wrestlers from the past like Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, etc., so on and so forth, one of the reasons why they got so over was from battling guys like Big Show, you know, Goldberg, etc., etc., etc. You know, you need big wrestlers sometimes to tell an amazing story. Like, for example, I think one of the reasons why Kalisto and a lot of those other wrestlers in WWE, and maybe even some in AEW and all that, the reason why they suffer is because they don't have that. Again, I hate to say it, but you can put it again on your Twitter. Hashtag obstacle. It's just a normal match of the big guy versus the little guy. And what happens is,
you need that David and Goliath.
yes,
Yeah,
you do. And those storylines sell like hotcakes. They really do. And the reason why a lot of companies don't hire big guys anymore is because they know it's a different era of wrestling. And fans today, for some reason, at least the hardcores, they don't like that. And what the hardcores don't understand is that casual fans and even some fans, they need those matches to pay attention. Because when you're walking in the kitchen or something like that, like back and forth, and you see a big guy versus a little guy, you're probably going to stop and watch and be like, whoa, how do they pull this off?
Oh, of course.
I actually want to pay attention to this. Because that's how I was, and I know, because that's how I was when I was a little kid, and I saw Big Show or Kane in there with like Rey Mysterio or whoever it was at the time. And so, like, I know that feeling, so I know what it's like, you know, to be attracted to those type of matches.
No, of course.
So you need that in wrestling. Again, another thing that's dying in wrestling is the David versus the Goliath, one of the all-time great matches that nobody talks about for some reason. The Undertaker versus Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio at the Royal Rumble.
No, of course. I wholeheartedly agree. I like big guys in matches. Like, I like the best matches I've ever seen recently was Keith Lee versus Dijakovic, best of 5 in NXT. And Dijakovic is a big guy. They have a Luchasaurus, which is a big guy. They have Anthony Green. They got Bononi. They got big guys. But you're right. Like, I do miss David and Goliath matches. Just did that with Omos. And only with Omos in this situation, in this instance, I don't like him because yes, he's a 1-year vet, but you're doing the same thing for him as they're doing with Jade. Jade is only like a 1.5-year vet, at not even a year yet. I think about a year yet, and they're pushing her to the moon. The difference is that when she does something wrong, they correct it. They find a trainer or a manager to talk to her and then improve from it. But she's not perfect. She's not a great wrestler. She's growing. Right. I get that. With Omos, I've been watching his matches, and 7 out of 10 times they're not that great because again he's a big guy, and you're right. They don't have big guy trainers. Maybe down in developmental. Maybe they just like, oh, you're a big guy, so you're just gonna be like a Giant Gonzalez, or you're gonna be like a Undertaker. You're gonna be menacing and brooding. I wish he was like a Dijakovic. Dijakovic can do freaking moonsaults off the ropes, and he's like 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah, like imagine how good Keith Lee would be, at least at an amazing as a main attraction, because like he's already like talented. But imagine how great he would be if he had like a gimmick around him. And on top of that, imagine if he like barely like did his flips now and again. Like imagine if you saved the flips and all that for like big matches or big moments.
Yep.
Instead of doing them like almost every match. Like look at Undertaker. Everyone knew he had the tube stunt. Everyone knew he had the choke stunt. Everyone knew he can do like old school and all like that. But oh my God, when Undertaker went for that over the top. What's it called again? A moon. What's it called?
Orihara moonsault.
Yeah, moonsault. Every time he went for that over the top rope, everyone was like, "Whoa, oh my god, what?
Mm-hmm.
He can do this!"
Or like Neville with the Neville / Pac with the Black Arrow. That he only did that rarely. Rarely did the Black Arrow.
No,
it's
Neville,
a special. It's a move.
It is.
Yeah, but comparing Neville to like a big guy like Taker, that's no. That's
But that move.
But the move itself is sacred where you only take it out on certain occasions. Just
but in this case, I'm talking about a big guy doing one.
Okay, yeah, you're right. My apologies. Yeah, all right, I get that. You're right. And it's true. Taker would rarely like even that one or the power bomb when he would like pull the person's pants up and like he rarely did that. Yeah, that was a very when I saw that I'm like you're done. That's it. Once you're like you're gonna get a wedgie on the way down, bro. Sorry, you're done. So they do need more big guys. And again, I will give this guy a chance because thinking about it, they're gonna promote him more on AEW television because they don't have it. They don't have it yet.
And I'm not trying to defend Omos or any.
No, I know you're not. And again, if I'm wrong, I always correct that I'm wrong. And again, it might have seemed where I don't like big guys. I do. I just like look. Brody Lee is one of my favorite wrestlers, not because he passed away, nothing like that, because I saw a match in WrestleMania weekend 2016, him versus Dijakovic. That was his WrestleMania moment, and that wasn't even on WrestleMania. That was on the Access episode before WrestleMania started, and he put his heart out, and he's a big guy. Rowan, not that great of a big guy, but something. Strowman tried, and he has the voice for it, but just he's top heavy. So when you look at him, he just looks like a little. It looks like someone took two action figures and took the part out and put something else. He's just like, I get it. It's just, come on, man. That's all I gotta say about it. But again, I respect the almost thing. I just hope in a year he grows. He gets better. You're a big guy. You don't have to do big moves. It's like shock the world and do a submission. How about that? No one's gonna see that coming.
Yeah, I agree with you in there. And then he was that wrestler was a former NBA player. He's 26 years old. He was with the 76ers. Now he's in wrestling. Let's see if he develops. But all in all, everyone said it looked like a WWE type of closing for an AEW card. The crowd was popping all night until that ending. I think it left a lot like, are you kidding me? You're gonna end it with this, and you left.
Two notes though. I have to say 2 notes in this AEW. The announcer was not the same announcer for ROH. When ROH matches happened, the ROH announcer came out. 1, 2. It might have been a WWE thing because Sanjay Dutt was in WWE as a booker and producer, so he might have like, hey, I have the business, Tony Khan. Let me just tell you how this. And then no, you got fired for a reason, and it's not because of good ideas. Stop.
Right.
Okay. Stop, Sanjay. All right.
And then another thing with Tony Khan, either he doesn't pay the electric bill or he loves turning off the damn lights so much to bring in a new wrestler.
Yeah, I hate that. Yes, Mr. Hill.
Yeah, I'll defend Alex on this. In whatever company you're working for, know your audience. In this case, Sanjay Dutt was booking for a Ring of Honor, so he should have known a lot of hardcore wrestling fans are watching. So do hardcore wrestling stuff, meaning it's okay to have long 30-minute matches and whatnot. It's okay to have a lot of chops. It's okay to, do stuff. Just avoid doing mainstream WWE stuff at all costs. That's your only job, basically.
Yes. They failed on that.
Don't expect to be like, oh, we're off. We'll see you next week. No, we'll see you in 2 days, dude. Don't do that. We're literally gonna see you in 2 days, man. Don't.
Yeah, you're right, and that's where they failed there, and they shut that down. And when you turn the lights off, you do it for certain wrestlers, and that's why I think they wanted to kind of persuade the crowd, thinking it might have been the Fiend, joining the AEW. Maybe people was like, oh wow, we're getting a treat. The crowd was so buzzing, but I don't see him. I don't see that guy going to AEW.
The only good thing about AEW is that there's always going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's no if. It's just when, and that's fine. I don't think Bray Wyatt's going to come to AEW, not for a while. If he does,
he's not going there. He was signing. He was signing a couple of. He made a couple of horror movies. Took some time off. He'll be back in WWE.
He's with
That's
JoJo. Let him have his fun. He's
No, exactly.
Yeah.
He does need to come in though. He does need to come in my opinion, to lead the Dark Order. They need someone that understands Brody's vision. And the only person that understood Brody's vision was the person that was there with him with the vision, and that's Bray Wyatt. And I get that they're a comedy group and everything like that, whatever. But that team, under the guise of Brody, of Wyatt, can make them into the Knights of the Black Throne, just menacing and just dark. Because as wrestling fans, Mr. Heel, Mr. Kevin, and myself knows, a babyface and heel is cyclical. You're gonna have to change eventually. That's the only way you survive in wrestling. You have to be a heel and then sometimes the face.
You don't have to all the time.
Those are rare exceptions. Yes,
Yeah.
those are rare exceptions. Rick Rude was never really a babyface. Mr. Perfect was never really a babyface. He was always a heel.
Grab machine.
Of course, but those are little small instances. You know, the Dark Order is a comedy group. They're baby faces. You don't want to stick them as a comedy group for the rest of their lives. You want to switch it up, and I understand that. Look at FTR. FTR were meant to be heels, no matter what. And the crowd, ever since this whole Wardlow thing is getting involved, the crowd is turning them into baby faces. They came out and confronted Red Dragon, and they're the double champs, and they're supposed to be viewed as the heels, but against Red Dragon, they're the baby faces. They're the
also against the Young Bucks. They got over. The crowd was over. FTR was phenomenally over, and we're like, they were in a position like, what do we do here? We never get the pop that we got here, and they kind of slowly turn into a baby face. Yeah.
And that's the purpose of storyline. If it wasn't for Wardlow having the storyline with MJF, FTR wouldn't have a problem with MJF, which made them divide themselves. And mind you, they fired Tully, and supposedly Bret Hart's coming in. Oh, yay. Whatever. But the fact that their babyface is good. That means Lucha Brothers is going to turn heel when Ray comes back. That means Jurassic Express has a chance to turn heel, or Gun Club turns face. There's 18 teams. They can't all have the same type for all eternity. They have to switch up. I love WWE, and I love this for a reason. Randy Orton, I want to go back to Randy Orton for a second. Randy Orton is very predictable because you know that he will always betray another person, no matter who the person is. So I love that. But you know that when he turns babyface, it's slight, it's very small, but when he shifts, it's very amazing. It's very beautiful. For that short period of time when he's a babyface, it's rare for Randy Orton. Very rare that he's a babyface. But when he is, it's magical. So I want to see that. I want to see, hell, if the world turns to ice, even MJF as a babyface, just for a second. Not for a long time, for a second. Because again, MJF is in the perfect position, as Mr. Heel knows. Ravishing Rick Rude was the perfect heel. Why? Yeah. He had the body, he had the look, he had the gimmick, he had the ideas.
He would grab her from the crowd and just
he would take your girl and make a picture on his pants. Okay, he knew how to spell. If Rick Rude was alive today, or there was a Rick Rude of this time, you know damn well he would just have a giant board of TV coming out of your girl in different positions. Like, oh yeah, she sent me these Instagram pics, bro. Just to piss off people. But that's what we need. As Mr. Heel said, we need storyline, we need moments, we need gimmicks, we need something more than just tope suicidas, destroyers, and great wrestling work. Because again, AEW, the one thing we can all agree on is that they strive for great wrestling. They don't do crap wrestling. They try and they throw things to the wall, but they always want great wrestling. This weekend, yesterday, great match in the beginning, great match in the end. Not a good finish, but a great match all the way, and a great tag team match. The only thing that was the fault was the women's match. That's it. And that's only because I didn't say this. Only because they did not book Marina Shafir better. They only book her on Dark. They only book her on Elevation. They put a vignette, and that's it. You gotta get her more. And she doesn't talk either. So, and when she talks, she only talks rarely. So you need to push her more. If she wins the belt on Saturday, it'll be a shock. If that's what they're going for, great. But if that's not what you're going for, you booked it wrong. And you have to be called out by it, man. If you make a crappy pie, I'm not going to eat it and say, thank you. I'm going to say, dude, it's a crappy freaking pie. Be better. Don't spit my food, though. just be better. That's it.
I agree with that. And we have Rampage, but I know, Alex, you want to stick real quick with Rampage, or you have to get going?
I gotta get going because I'm gonna do MLW Fusion episode 141 on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AlexCoquito787. This right here, you put 787 next to it all together, and that's what it is. But before I go, I want to say, Mr. Heel, thank you for giving me your knowledge to understand and to adapt in the wrestling world. Thank you for that, Mr. Sir. Mr. Kevin, cabrón, yo te amo. ¿Tú sabes por qué? ¿Tú sabes por qué?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
at 1,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. 1,049 on the road to 2,000 now, bitch.
That's right. That's right.
Check me out, Alex Coquito, on YouTube. Check me out, Alex Coquito on YouTube.
Español también.
Claro, papi, yo estoy viviendo en Puerto Rico ahora mismo, papi. East side. Right now. So, yes, hablo español. No parezco, pero yo sé. I want to say thank you, Alex Coquito on YouTube. Rican Reactions, my third new channel. I react to random things. I think next week I'm going to start reacting to the year 1982, the year I was born. What happened in 1982? I don't know. I'm about to find out because I love YouTube and they have all the things. But I want to say thank you to everybody. Stay healthy, stay happy. Always remember, if you love wrestling, and this is my catchphrase, and I can say this: if you love wrestling, I love you too. ... Platonically. And to everyone else, stay wrestling. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Alex. Thank you so much. The great Alex Coquito. There you go. From La Isla del Encanto, Puerto Rico. Thank you, Alex Coquito, man. Phenomenal job. Alex breaks it down. And wow, I didn't anticipate to speak over an hour and 40 minutes of AEW. Not being a big fan, but I gotta give flowers where flowers is given. Heel. Let's wrap up a little bit quickly with the AEW. Let's go with it real quick. Rampage, I have the ticker there. Rampage is this Friday night. It's gonna be live now. Rampage has been having some horrible numbers. Tony Khan knows has been doing terrible in the ratings. The time slot. Tape shows doesn't work. He's been complaining about the numbers, complaining about that show not doing well. He's gonna go live here. My point is, for him going live, you got some matches, and it's gonna be live in your backyard in Texas. You're gonna have the Texas Death Match, Hangman Page versus Adam Cole, Latrios match. I think we're gonna crown a new heavyweight champion. I think they removed the strap away from Hangman. I think Adam Cole wins the belt. I think because eventually they look like they're going to set up CM Punk for a title run, and I think that is going to only help the program with a Cole Punk matchup down the line. What's your thoughts on that before we talk about anything?
I heard him complaining. I think it was on Twitter or someone else that. Oh, I think no. I think it was another YouTuber actually that I actually really trust. He was a reliable source, and on top of that, he showed evidence, so I have no reason to doubt him. He called basically a bunch of AEW haters just like bots, and I was like, you can't do that as an owner or promoter, because that's just not a good way to promote your product, especially as the owner, because you're supposed to set an example and be a true leader. Like, the one thing I always respected about Vince is that he always just stays in the back, kind of like Batman. He never really speaks about anything, rather it's positive or negative. Like, he may say something every now and again, but and granted, maybe Triple H and Stephanie might say something negative or something about the fans or now and again, but Vince himself never really he's there. He just stays quiet. And Tony just needs to realize, no company is perfect, especially not AEW. AEW is still in its infancy, and you have to realize there are still things that have to be worked on. Yes, you're on a good network with TBS or like that.
For now.
Yeah. And you have some good talent, but I think there are some decisions that you're making that are just not smart, if I'm being honest with you. Like, for example, I don't, like I said, and I've been saying this too for a while, there doesn't need to be two versions of AEW. Make it into one brand. And I'll be honest with you, it was a smart idea to buy ROH, but I think what Tony Khan should do with ROH is make it like its own version of NXT. Like, make that your developmental company. And that's really all you should do. And then start focusing more on gimmicks and storylines. At least a little bit. Like, I get it. It's mainly on your company's mainly aimed towards our hardcore fans. And that's fine. I can respect that. But don't be afraid to at least balance the company out a little bit. Like 50% hardcore matches or whatever, like a really good matches, whatever, and then 50% gimmicks. So that way you make everyone happy. Because right now, as we've seen with other companies, it's either you really, really try to go all in and make things really good, or you're just gonna always be that company that's just there. So, which is gonna be Tony Khan.
Okay. So do you see a title? You know, when I mentioned when we were, I don't want to sound like I'm all over the place, but when I said they have a good TV deal, the number ratings are low. We don't know now that Time Warner, there's a merger with Discovery. The company's going to be bought. You're going to have new CFOs, new executives, and a lot of TV industry executives. They don't really like wrestling. They don't like sports entertainment. Vince has good rapport when it comes to NBC, going all the way back to first WrestleMania. Heck, that was televised in NBC. You know, if you remember, I know you wasn't even born. After a week it was on NBC, Saturday Night Main Event. You know, he's always had that good rapport with those TV executives because Vince sells the sports entertainment. He doesn't sell wrestling like some other executives see, like, and that was the problem with WCW, the demise when they merged with from Time with Time Warner, and that became, and we're starting to see that here with Discovery. Now, depending on the CFOs and the direction, they might not have a TV home. They might say, you know what, wrestling, it's not giving us this number. We're more into Turner Sports and basketball. Now the hockey's on TNT. Wrestling, no, maybe we want to move you guys into app only, and I don't know if AEW has the cachet to be an app only type of location, to viewer. So it could be big. This is really a crucial part for AEW. They're in, don't go crazy signing a lot of talent, but Tony Khan can help himself. WWE, releases anyone, and the next day they're trying to scoop them up. So it's tough.
Yeah, and that's what Tony has to stop doing. Just because WWE releases someone doesn't mean you have to sign them. He's got to remember, WWE released them for a reason. And yes, I get it. If they release a big name like the Hardys, then yeah, that's fine. But just because they release someone like Keith Lee, whatever, doesn't mean you pick them up right away. Like, don't be afraid to let them go away for a few years and let them develop, and then pick them up yourself. Then that's fine, I guess. But they, and this is the obvious problem, but AEW's big problem is they seem to have problem focusing on their own brand, really. And that's a big problem to me. They don't really focus on AEW. They're more focused on just, hey, we bring in a wrestler that's already developed, or at least that we think is already developed. Then we see if they help our brand. And then we focus on our talent. And it's like, well, when MJF is the only guy that's really, truly gone over as an AEW talent, yeah, that's a big name, granted. That's a good thing. But when he's only one, and then after him, the only guys you talk about are guys that got big elsewhere, like the Hardys, Jericho, CM Punk, and all that. And then you got Darby Allin and guys like that in the back that are still waiting to get over. Like, at least like MJF has. That's kind of an issue. Like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but yeah.
No, I feel the same way. That's why I personally am with conviction saying that I know MJF is, and besides he started in Tough Enough anyway with the WWE, and they let him go get seasoned. That's why I more than say that MJF will be in WWE when his contract is up. And I say before that, I think he's gonna make it so impossible that they're gonna ask for his release. He's gonna get his release. He's gonna be able to go. And that's why what WWE does with Cody, and this time around is going to be very important for all those guys in the locker room. You don't think a Sammy Guevara will do phenomenals in WWE? He will excel. I think he's wasting his talents in AEW. They got a young, good wrestler in Sammy Guevara, and they're putting that stupid gimmick. I mean, it was good. I was happy that he was under Jericho's tutelage, and he got over. But then they removed him, and this current gimmick that he's going in right now, though he's going to fight on Saturday night. He's gonna go for the TNT championship match with Scorpio Sky, but I don't know. It's like, they, like you said, they see the next guy coming. They bought in all these wrestlers. Adam Cole, they're gonna put him. I still have conviction they're gonna put that belt on him on Friday night. Just came in, released from the WWE, immediately put it a belt. So what does that say with a guy like MGF, like you said, Darby, other wrestlers that Cody scouted and developed and brought in there when he was vice president of talent. That's why it's going to be really important to see what they do here with Cody and WWE going forward. And could there be especially if that TV contract doesn't go through and the CFO, it could be a lot of trouble for AEW if they don't find it. Although I think they could find a TV home, Spike TV. I don't feel like I feel like they could find a TV home, but man, when you're on TNT to get demoted down, it's going to be a problem. I'm not saying it's happening, folks. I'm just saying that there's a merger going on. You could check that with Turn Warner and Discovery. They're gonna have new CFOs and stuff like that. And usually they revisit the numbers and books, and then even though AEW is making good numbers, but not great numbers, they could see, and they don't. A lot of executives, once again, they do not like wrestling, and they might just say, that this is not on this network. So it'll be interesting how they go forward with that. But all in all, I think AEW's Rampage, they got to make a statement. They got to change the title, because you've been complaining, Tony Khan, that your numbers stink. Your numbers are down low. Nobody really watches it. You go because it's recorded. So now you have a live show. Make it memorable. And not memorable by bring me a wrestler in the last 5 minutes. Oh, he's here. He's here. Turn off the lights. He's here. Oh, he's here. Fans, we got to go. We got to go. We out of time. Tune in next week. No. You got to make a title change, make it pop, make it exciting, and make it memorable. Like you said, those memorable moments that you're going to remember for that card. What are your thoughts on that one?
Sorry, what?
What are your thoughts on that? If they got to make it a memorable situation.
Oh yeah, they do. They absolutely do. However, I know that MJF is busy in a feud, but I don't know if this show is going to deliver. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. But then again, you say that by any show. The reason I'm not sure if it's going to deliver is because, at least for the future, is because the title is going on the wrong person. Now, if you're really that concerned about ratings, you need to put the title on MJF. Now, if you're really confident enough, you can wait more and then try to let MJF do his thing more. Then I guess that's fine. Take that risk. However, again, we all know who should be holding the title right now. It's no secret. So, is this show really gonna be the thing that helps you rebound? I don't know. We'll have to watch and see.
Yep, we have to watch and see. And I will conclude our AEW talk. We're almost 2 hours. Wow, I never thought I would ever speak about AEW that long. Let's go to the Rice and Beans, the big show, the WWE. Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw had a lot of interesting situation. Let's start off with we've seen Dominic Mysterio versus Veer Mahal.
Yeah, Veer Mahal. He basically beat the light years out of Dominic and put him in the ambulance. So
we haven't seen anyone gone in the ambulance in quite some time.
Yeah, so WWE is really going all in with Veer Mahal, and I think I'll be honest with you, I don't really know where they're making a billing Veer Mahal from is from India. Or
they haven't said, but it looks like it. Personally, I would have liked I don't like that kind of the character of Veer Mahan, the way he comes out. He looks, no disrespect, he looks like he's mentally challenged coming in there, all cross-sided. You could have put him in a nice suit, you know, get that Flair, Ric Flair type of, you know, that pizzazz, like woo, like he's, high. He did play that role in the Indies, that playboy type, rich. And I think that would have, and he would have been a total heel. He would have, to me, he would have got over, and a badass guy in a suit who thinks he's, what Andrade is doing in AEW. I think they could have pulled it off with Veer Mahal. He looks more something like a gimmick from the early '90s. I'm waiting for the Gobbledygoobler to come after him and fight him. I don't know. I'm not feeling him. I'm sorry.
For me, it's too early to tell. But yeah, when they first showed him in this suite or whatever in Dallas, I was like, they could have tried to book him as like a really like almost like Bollywood type of thing, but like
Yeah, there you
more
go. I
cool.
like that. Yeah.
I was like, I was like, okay, interesting. We'll see where this goes because like it's almost like he was too good to go to WrestleMania. He was like, fine, I don't have to wrestle. So he was just like drinking something and just chilling up with this suite. And I was like, like we'll see what this goes. And now that we got to see him, it's like, okay, I'm still there, but because obviously we haven't even seen what this character can do yet. But so far, it's like, okay, I get it. In the ring, he's supposed to be this ultra like dominating guy, but his overall character, we'll see where it leads.
Yeah, and hopefully, I hope this is a time for Dominic. Of course, it was very obvious that something was going to happen because catastrophically, because you didn't see Rey Mysterio come out with him, although it might be Rey Mysterio trying to avenge and fight Veer down the road for Dominic being out. But hopefully, it's time for Dominic to take some time off, get down to Orlando, go to either NXT down to and work out with those guys, reinvent himself. Start coming up. He's not ready for the main roster, my opinion. And I hope this time off, he gets to reinvigorate himself because I think the talent is there, but he's not just ready to be on Raw week after week. His character needs some more seasoning, in my opinion. His wrestling, he comes from a great family, and he could and he has it in his genes. But I think he needs to go NXT and just like be a whole separate entity and work himself up. But I didn't start with the most obvious situation. I just wanted to get Veer out. Was the Miz TV. The Raw kicked on with Miz TV. He had his special guest, Cody Rhodes. We all know they're booked for a match, but he wanted to do the Miz TV interview. Boy, that was some good Miz TV promo.
Best promo of the week, I'll be honest with you, because like the one thing every other company lacks that I'll be honest with you, mainly the Miz just has, not even WWE, just the Miz has, is no one can top the Miz on the mic. The Miz is so good on the mic. He can probably sell like he could probably sell like I'll just say ant spray to an ant. I don't know.
Ice,
like,
ice to an Eskimo. That's
yeah. There you go. Ice and Eskimo. Because when Cody when this was first advertised and they from the get go and it was like Cody's gonna do the Miss TV with him. I was like, okay, I know they're having a match later, but okay, I guess this is one way to build it up. But then as soon as they started going word for word, I was just like, I want this to be the full feud. I'm like, I don't want this to be a one night thing. I want this to be just a long feud because these guys just bounce off each other so well. And I like how when Cody was done with his entrance, the Miz just like, well, someone just broke the pyro budget. Like, what are you trying to upstage me? Like, it was so funny. And then like it was just a 5-star promo battle back and forth.
Yeah, and he corrected them. We're sports entertainers, not
Yeah.
wrestlers. Belts are for holding your pants up. Titles,
Yeah.
and it was just Miz letting Cody know, we have a terminology here in the world, and this is the big boys. You talk with different, Vince don't like this talk. We talk this kind of like correction and so natural and back and forth with Cody, and Cody laughed and smiled with it, and it was like, it was a phenomenal exchange to start it off, and then he asked the question about Seth Rollins. He says if he wants a rematch, he's more than willing to give rematch, but also letting us know he's his sights still on Roman Reigns' belt. So, which is cool. He's telling us as a crowd, yes, I'm here to win that belt, but it's gonna take a while because I got Miz in front of me. Then I got a nice program with Seth Rollins. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it was a good, all in all, great promo. I mean, and I'm really am digging Cody Rhodes back in the WWE. It showed that he needed that time away to polish his game, his skills, his mic skills, and he's freaking over. Or he's over with the crowd, and I loved it that we didn't even hear one single AEW chant. It was all Cody Rhodes, and there was opportunities for him to have the AEW chat. Nobody budged, or it was all about Cody Rhodes. It was a good promo just to start off Raw.
Yeah, and obviously the Miz playing off the Cody chants, it was amazing. He even did the thing we play here and everything. It was amazing. I mean, and then we go to the match, and obviously, Seth comes out, and Miz tries to win off the distraction, and sends Cody gets the win, and Seth just kind of playing mind games. Yeah, honestly,
he did. Yeah, no, and it was a good, all in all, good match between him, Cody, and Miz.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, a lot of the stuff actually has died down in WWE already, but right now, and it'll always be this way. The hottest thing in wrestling right now is always gonna be Roman, Seth, The Miz, and Cody right now, and the Usos, because they're also
Yeah.
hello.
Did you like the way Cody tried to play sell off the knee injury?
Yeah, I did, and the
I
Usos,
did.
by the way, I don't
Yeah.
know if you would caught that, but yeah, they're also going to be the big thing. And by the way, that's another thing. We should point out that the Usos are apparently going to try to unify the tag titles.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that right there. I was gonna talk about AJ Styles match with Damian Priest. There was a moment that it was like the most head scratching segment on Raw. One of them, besides the wedding nonsense fiasco, but that was they started this good fight. Although we saw AJ Styles, earlier in the day, just went at Damian Priest, in the lock, as soon as he was coming in from the streets. But all of a sudden, he just the match. I don't know if there was a mishap with the camera production that they went away, and when they came back, they were gone from the ring. We saw the purple lighting and no edge, and it's kind of weird. What are we building here? Is AJ Styles going to need reinforcements, or what's your thoughts on that feud?
I like this push for Damian Priest. I just hope it leads to something. And AJ, I mean, him and Damian might be able to put off some good matches. But as for the story, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little confused as to where it's going so far.
Me too.
Yeah.
Too. I know that they want to show us that it's a new staple, and yes, Damian Priest is going to fall under Edge's tutelage, and I know that there's been rumors of others joining that staple. But what is it? Where does it leave AJ Styles? Is he a lone duck by himself? Do we see him going back and reaching for Gallo and Anderson? Bullet Club or Finn Balor? Would he need help, because we'll get to Finn Balor in a moment. But it was an awkward ending to that segment in Raw. No clicker winner, no contest, basically. And it's like, okay, I wonder if people in the arena, if they saw something different. It was weird where they took the commercial breaks there. And speaking of that, it was weird. It was weird. It was weird here. Anything there before we move on from that segment?
Nah, not really. No.
Not really. All right. So let's see. Let's go with Since you mentioned the Usos, but see if I can't leave anything out before the Usos mentioned. Will be they want to fight. I want to bring all the gold to the family. Bring in the schedule in an evening. Take on the Street Profits for the tag titles. Eventually, want to set up a unification bout. We had a team in the we had to be a tag team fight, ladies rematch, but down with she was in balls. I don't know if they didn't say it was cold or what, but she was just in protocols. So it Liv Morgan going one on one with it was just a filler woman fight. I'm not it looks like we're seeing live win one, lose one, win one. It's like they're prolonging the story. It looks like it's going to be a breaking of Liv and Rhea, but they're prolonging it with wins and losses. I don't know it was like it was a filler bust. It was just a filler match.
I really have no thoughts about this. It's just sort of there for me. I'm like, you know. So I guess Liv Morgan, yay. Yeah.
Yeah. And she should be getting pushed over, but we could mention that. We could talk about that at a different time. Then we saw the Usmas with MVP, the lounge, and we saw RB Lashley come out and just go ham, breaking the sets and so forth. They're gonna continue this feud. Now, does Robbie Lashley have enough to put over Almost whatever going forward? Do you think he almost? I mean, he almost gonna win, but does he have it? Does he have it in him? Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think he's gonna? Do you think he's the type of veteran or wrestler to try to get this kid over?
I think so.
Okay.
I think because like Bobby Lashley knows how tough it is to get to the top. Because like he I don't think he ever got the world title until he actually returned back from his tenure in TNA. So I think no one knows how hard it is to get to the top than Bobby, and I think he wants to pass that on to this kid, and he wants to see what this kid can do with it, and so yeah, I think Bobby's going to put him over, but the only question is, are the writers going to put him over? Are the writers going to see it that way? Are they going to see if he's deserving or not? And I think it's going to be just a nice story. Is it going to be some good matches? We'll see.
Hopefully, almost will give us a good fight. Learning bit baptism on the fight. He said he is a one year in ring performer. Hopefully, he'll working more. Knowing he's gonna work program with Lashley, maybe that will help him. Behind the scenes, they could work with him, and maybe with MVP is also a very good veteran, not just with a mouthpiece, but also as a wrestler. It still is could help him out there. We'll see that there, and then after that we had the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair on Queen Vega, and of course we knew that Bianca Belair was gonna win, wasn't gonna lose his belt. And we know that there's a split between Vega and Carmella, but here at the end of that fight, we said price heel. You saw Sony come out, chairman, and told Bianca Belair that has a new opponent, for a contender to the match, and Bianca Belair wanted to know who it was, and we all did, and they said it was her. So Sonya Deville looked like she's returning back into ring competition.
Yeah, I mean that was a good little plot twist. I don't think anyone saw that coming. So yeah, it's a nice story, but I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like anyone wanted to necessarily cared if Sonya came back to wrestle. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of people liked her role she was in now, so that's the downside of this. But I mean, who knows? Maybe she got better, while she was doing this. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and you see her and a rip with the general managers, but we all know when they put those figureheads as supposedly Raw general managers, we all know that they're not really running the show. They're puppets. Vince is in the
Oh yeah,
background, Hunter's in the background, and Stephanie's
they're
there. They're
characters.
running the show. They're characters. They're characters on there. So sometimes it doesn't go over, and I see where it loses its course. And then Sonya is back in the ring there to wrestle. Then we had that whole, like I mentioned, about the Dana Brooks and Tamia. They're gonna have the wedding next. WWE, they love their weddings. You know that they love celebrating a wedding and doing all this crazy stuff. It's just a segment, just to fill time there. Yeah. At this point, they gotta be careful sometimes that late in the evening. You don't want to lose a crowd after a 9 o'clock hour. They put the Cody Rhodes fight. They're putting their main good fights usually at 9, and they leave everything closing out in their third hour, which is like they're really not leaving their best. Like the week before, they had Roman Reigns come out and say, "Tune into SmackDown," pretty much, and that was the last hour. Really, maybe because they think it's late in the numbers or whatever the case is, and they're giving us the good stuff around 9 o'clock hour. But all in all, it led to actually a good tag team match for the Raw tag team with RK Bros. Taking out Alpha Academy. I know how you feel about Alpha Academy, but how do you like that fight, that tag team match?
Alpha Academy versus who?
RK Bros.
Oh, I was just like RK Bros should win easily. I was like, and they did. So I was like, let's go. That's really all I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, and you saw the arcade, Arn comes out with the RKO nowhere to Gable and got the pin on him, so they won that there. And after the match, the champion, they weren't and cheered him, and then a black comes out, and the tag team champion Jimmy and Jay comes out stage looking for Randy and Riddle. So they were looking for them to try to challenge, and of course, then the speed in,
I think you're lagging a little
and
bit,
now
actually, Kev.
All right, so you're not hearing me then.
Yeah, I think on some parts, yeah. Cause like I thought it was just me for a while. That's why I didn't say anything. But yeah. But
All right, so we go right into the.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We had the street. All right, so we had the Street Profits taking on the Usos. That was the closing fight there for Monday Night Raw. What's your thoughts on that one?
I mean, like, it was what it was. Just something nice for all of us to enjoy, I guess. Like, that's one thing that I saw from, like, just realized from This Week in Wrestling in general, is that there were just the things that were fun to talk about were fun to talk about. The things that weren't were just kind of there. And this is one of those things that are just kind of there.
All right. So do you?
Yeah.
What do you think? What are the directions you think the WWE is going to go here with their tag belts?
Honestly, they might unify them. And then I saw an interesting theory that was interesting to me. Again, for anyone out there, I'm not gonna say it's true or false, but they said they might do a thing where it's the Bloodline at some point versus Cody and RK Bro. Now I'm just
I
like,
can
you
see
know
that.
what?
I can
Yeah.
see that. Instead of having them fight for the belts right away, and you want to whet out appetites with seeing Cody Rhodes to see how he stacks up with Roman Reigns so far, or to see how the crowd, if they're gonna get over, you could see that. There could be that card money, or is it Money in the Bank that they're going outdoors on a outdoor stadium coming up,
I have to check the stadium again. Here, let me check.
because that would draw a big crowd. If you're telling me a 6-man tag, RK Bro, Cody Rhodes.
Let's see here. Money in the Bank will be.
Is that the one in Nashville?
I'm checking.
All right. As heel checks the facts there.
Here we go. And this is going to be in. It's going to be in Allegiant Stadium. Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah,
In Paradise, Nevada. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be. Outdoors.
Yeah, so that's an outdoor stadium arena. So, and this in Vegas. So you make a big card there. You make that 6-man tag. Cody Rhodes gets his hands on Roman Reigns. Maybe that leads. Maybe if they get the big pop or the big numbers boost there. Now you could see you might want to set that up for rest for SummerSlam as we bring in MK. MK, salute MK.
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
already towards the end of the show, but yeah, here's MK. Better late than
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, my apologies on that. I had to deal with some business to take care of, and couldn't really get some good reception with my data. So my apologies on that.
And
No,
you're
cool,
not the
cool.
hurt
No, we're
business.
good. It's, you're in.
You're not the
Yeah.
hurt business, man. You're the late business.
Nah, I'm super late though. But then again, I am a top draw here, so I do come into the main event. So
Dude, if you're a draw, then so is Zack Ryder.
Hold on a second for that comment, MK.
Chip, you know what? You just made the list. Oh no! Oh, here we go.
So am I on the list because I'm late or what I just said?
Both.
Or wow.
Yeah, both. So you're double on the list.
I don't know, man. To be fair, it wasn't as bad as that comment that Heel made last week about what did he say about Cody Rhodes coming back? It felt like a proud father.
That was last week, bro. We're talking about you today. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Maybe even though I've been on the list right now, it wasn't nearly as a big of an offense as old Heel is.
Wait, I gotta ask you a question though.
Yeah, shoot.
Are you Alex Cojito with just the gimmick chains?
No.
Are you sure?
You're not
'Cause
Elias.
that's
You're not Elias.
yeah, exactly. This is
No.
You know what? This is exactly like another Elias and Ezekiel thing. This is Alex Cojito, but he's MK.
No, my brother's name is MK. I am KM. You know.
No, you're formerly Alex Cojito. Now you're MK.
No. See, I came from a long line of family, a long line of people who had initials as first and last names. You know, we didn't really had actual names. We just had initials.
Wow,
So-
I'll give you big props. So you're playing the character really good.
So, you know, my brother is MK. I am KM. You know, and then there's other people who was MMK.
No, you were
you
Alex
know?
Cojito. You were here. I just find it really ironic that when he leaves, you come back as soon as the show's about to be over. So you were here the entire time.
Nah, I mean, I tried watching the stream on my way home, but you know, it is what it is. Stupid data connection.
Yeah. Okay, Ezekiel Jr.
Whatever.
Let me ask you something. I haven't watched it. I just heard it from a different source, a different podcast. The program, the show that with The Rock, you know, his story life. He showed a clip where a young Joe,
Yeah, Young Rock. Yeah.
young Rock, but he had his cousin there named Joe, which we all know that's Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And he tells Joe, you know, maybe one day we'll highlight a WrestleMania card.
Yeah, I saw the clips of that on Twitter. I mean, they've teased it. They've also teased it in the WWE Evil documentary with the Roman Reigns episode. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
MK, I guess you can say The Rock had that knowledge, the Roman Reigns.
I mean, shoot. The Young Rock is going to be the next Simpsons, am I right, when it starts predicting the future?
Yeah, that'd be funny if young Joe got in the ring. He's like, "Acknowledge me."
Yeah, see, I could tell The Rock was like, "Hey, kid, you're gonna play Joe, and I want you to say acknowledge me." It's like, see, I know what you did there. I know what you did. You know.
Okay.
MK, give me your thoughts real quick. We got a few more minutes here about the Yankees and Blue Jays are in a rain delay, so it worked perfect. Your thoughts on Raw this week?
Raw was actually not that bad, honestly. It wasn't the greatest show in the world, but it was also it wasn't a bad show either. The Miz and Cody Rhodes segment was pretty fun. Even the match itself was very good. Um, the Sonya Deville and Bianca Belair stuff is actually interesting. I know some people didn't like the fact that Sonya is going after the title, but I mean, if this is something they're gonna do for Backlash, I'm like, no problem. It's better than Bianca going after, let's say, Doudrop for the millionth time or whatever. I mean, in this case, you're kind of slowly transitioning Sonya back as a competitor, so I'm cool with that. So, you know, um, and even the VIP segment was really entertaining too. So it had some moments for the most part, the show was actually pretty solid this week. You know, it had some storyline progression and stuff like that, which I like. Not enough wrestling though, but a lot of storyline progression. You know, going into the next pay per view, which that's all I can really ask for Raw and SmackDown. You know.
Well, agree. As we total contrast, we had a lot of storyline progression, a lot of storyline build up, and we had a lot of wrestling in AEW for Dynamite. What's your thoughts on Dynamite compared to Monday Night Raw?
Um, Dynamite. I only checked like one match, which was the Joe and Minoru Suzuki match. Which was fun. I know the ending is what everybody's talking about, but um, with the whole what's that guy's name, Satnam Singh or whatever, um, and that wasn't really that great. But I don't know. It's just kind of been whatever with Dynamite, honestly.
All right, all right. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that there. Do you know what's Tony Khan's big announcement? Because he's always got an announcement to always got an announcement. I'm
His
just
big
looking.
announcement is chili will now be on nachos starting next
I
Wednesday.
think his big announcement is going to be that ROH has a TV deal. I think
With
so.
who again?
I don't know. That's kind of the thing. Maybe I'm just guessing that's going to be the big announcement. You know, his 70th announcement for the week is going to be ROH getting a TV deal.
It's already
Which,
a meme to me. Breaking news: Tony Khan has a big announcement.
I
Hot
mean,
dogs. You know?
there's three things certain in life: death, taxes, and Tony Khan. You know, make an announcement. You know, so I don't know. I mean, to be fair, he should be making an announcement about those bots he's been talking about. You know,
Tony
you know,
Khan versus the bots at the next AEW pay per view. Make it happen.
I think that would sell out arenas all over the world. You know, Tony Khan versus the bots, double or nothing, live
Yeah.
on pay per view, fight TV or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
So weird.
because we were talking earlier. I don't know what kind of if Ring of Honor gets a TV deal, their own TV deal is on the fritz because I was mentioning Time Warner is going to merge with Discovery Network, and it's going to be a new CEO, CFOs, and usually they're not high on wrestling shows, and they might be pull the plug even on Rampage, and who knows if Dynamite will get renewed. They got a lot of money, and when the new mergers and TV contracts come up, they're gonna want to cut costs, and they don't be they're not too kind with wrestling shows. Well, one thing about Vince that makes it work, Vince is a brand that markets the crap out of it and draws eyeballs, and he tells a story. This is pure. The AEW is pure wrestling, more like a hardcore wrestling, and I don't know if that's going to survive. With this on TNT and TBS. I know it was different where they needed it, but I don't know if these CAOs are going to allow it or go
It dep-
for it.
it depends on how much money their AEW is actually bringing in. You know, so if there's if there's value to be made, I think they'll find a way. And look, if TNA was willing to survive all those years, I think AEW has a shot of actually, start finding a home for their shows. But we'll have to just wait and see where it goes. To me, I'm more concerned about their whole overall product as a whole, rather than what network they're gonna be on in the next year or two. You know, because I just feel like with AEW right now, even though there is a lot of really good characters, at the same time they need to focus more on their stories. right now because they don't really have a lot of really intriguing storylines right now. So, and I think that's kind of what's hindering them right now. I know ratings for them has been steady with the 900K to 1 million viewers,
and millions.
And millions, so I can see there's a little bit of growth every year, during this time. It's like they're growing bit by bit, but they haven't reached to that 1.4 mil. But I think they're doing okay, but I feel like they just need to bring in more episodic television, more storylines that are more episodic and more week to week, because I feel like aside from like the MJF stuff, there's not MJF and Wardlow stuff. There's not really much there. It's just kind of like, these guys are feuding because there's a belt and that's it.
Title.
No, it's a belt.
It's a title.
Oh yeah, because no.
It's a title.
It's a championship title belt. It's a championship title belt.
If you don't shut up, I'll have you kicked.
You hear that, people? He's trying to kick me out. I think that deserves to be on the list, don't you think, Kev?
No.
Chip, you know what? You just made the list. Oh no! Oh, here we go.
And since you're talking back to me, my guy, you deserve to be on the list a second time.
What?
Chip, you know what? You just made the list. Oh no! Oh, here we go.
And you just should make the list because you're a trash can.
Nah, I'm great.
Oh, really? Kev, cue it for the monkeys. Exactly. Shut up. It's a title.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Because I guarantee we're probably going to be here all night, and the joke is going to run its course after the third or fourth time.
You ran your course.
Oh wow.
Well, I got the ultimate heel one for both of you.
Oh no.
Oh, I got the ultimate heel one, man. You guys are ready? You guys are ready, though. You gotta.
Yeah, I'm strapped in, my guy.
Oh,
all right.
Okay,
you gotta have thick skin. Here we go.
A lot can happen in 24 hours. Let's start with Mike. I must have asked 1,000 times.
We're doing a watch along.
Is he locked in? Is he with us? Is he a part of us? Are you sure?
You're gonna do the Heel of the Ring podcast.
What I heard was, don't worry, kid. I got it covered. Don't sweat it. You worry too much. It's sewn up. Let me make the decisions. Well, you dropped the ball. But don't worry.
BX Sports Jedi. Got it. I pick it up.
And now the ball is in my court. I'll take care of the worries. I'll take care of the problems. And I'll make the decisions. Whoa. Is the genesis of
BX Sports Jedi Heel of the Ring podcast.
Live in front of the world, I form the DX
the Heel of the Ring podcast.
Business that should have been taken care of right from the start. Say it, JR. And when you start an army, when you set out to do what no one else can do, the first thing you do is you look to your blood. You look to your buddies. You look to your friends. You look to
my
the
friend.
clique.
My only complaint is, why are you on the Miz's side? You don't deserve to be on that side yet. That's why it has to be earned, not given.
Wow.
You guys dropped the ball.
Was that the closing segment of the show?
No, we're still live.
We're still live. And in color.
Damn.
You stupid
Damn.
idiot.
Damn.
Well,
That would have been a great closing ending. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, but we wanted to hear your reactions.
I was fairly entertained. I was fairly
All right.
entertained.
Cool. Well, with that said, hey, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys watching all. Thank you, Alex Coquito. That's when you call the click, you call the blood, and you call Alex Coquito.
Yeah, and that's MK Suzuki.
Nah, I'm KM, my guy. Come on.
It's okay. We know. Okay, go ahead, Kev.
Just tune in. SmackDown tomorrow night. Don't forget it. Tomorrow night, we got a good SmackDown card as well as Rampage live from Texas. SmackDown. We're gonna have Jinder Mahal take Intercontinental title. Ricochet. I think Jinder Mahal wins the IC belt, man.
That could be cool.
You know
Yeah.
why? Because they're going against Rampage live. You go, you make a title change, you know, and I think that Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn match is gonna be a really good fight too. That's gonna be a good match.
That goes to show how much of a threat Vince says. Like, it's like, should you have the world title on to keep it AEW? Nah, we'll just throw a Ricochet in the Mahal. Okay.
Yeah, and Mahal is gonna win it. And Mahal,
Yeah.
I like Mahal. But with that said,
I do
guys,
too.
I want to thank you guys. MK, thank you for coming, regardless of the fact, even if it's in the end, you know, for a few minutes.
AKA
I
Alex
appreciate it.
Coquito.
Alex
Yeah.
Coquito, thank you so much. Let's support. It's Alex Coquito 787 at Twitch. And I'm gonna go over there and bother him and say hello, you know, in the chat and support him there. And thank you so much. Heel, again, a pressure. We can't wait for next week. You know, when we get back and chop it up and let's pin our competition and let's be great. So, guys, have a good night. We'll see you next time here on the Heel of the Ring podcast. Peace.
Awesome! You people bought a ticket to see me, so shut up.
Sometimes I get so mad, there's no control.
Ladies and
in me.
gentlemen,
My
just in
thoughts
case
get
you
so
live
bad, I'm
under a
like,
rock,
I might
you
grab
are
a
looking
bat, I
at the
don't know, my
youngest
rap,
and
my blood
fastest
boils
rising
over like,
star in
oh God, here
professional
goes. I
wrestling
lost all
today.
feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt